Consideration in Parliament. This comes as the Constitutional Review Committee considers public submissions that seek to restrict the access of foreign nationals to health, education, business and property rights. The committee has received several submissions to amend the preamble of the Constitution that states that South Africa belongs to all who live in it to only include its citizens. Lindsay Dentlinger reports.
The argument made in several submissions to the Constitutional Review Committee is that South Africans should receive preferential access to state services. But Parliament's legal advisers say amending the preamble to the Constitution, which has its genesis in the Freedom Charter, would not necessarily achieve these aims. While the UDM's Mandla Peter questioned whether these rights should not rather be considered privileges, the MKP's Andile Mqitama said he believed the legal advice that foreign nationals enjoy the same rights as citizens is absurd. Meanwhile, the EFF's Virgil Gericke says while the concerns about limited resources are valid, international law cannot be violated to drive anti-migrant sentiment.
Government has the power to deal with illegal immigration. Government must exert that power and execute that power because it's a criminal offence.
The committee is still to debate the desirability of pursuing any of these proposals. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
The bail application of 3 foreign nationals accused of attempting to smuggle drugs into South Africa through the Beitbridge border post has been postponed to June 18th. They appeared in the Musina Magistrates Court today facing charges including dealing in drugs, money laundering and the possession of illicit goods. The trio was intercepted at the Beitbridge border post last week while allegedly transporting drugs with an estimated value of 34 million rand. Dimakatso Leshoro reports.
The state is expected to oppose bail, arguing that the accused pose a flight risk. Prosecutors are expected to contend that the 2 men and women enter South Africa on temporary visitors' permits, have no known family ties or property in the country, and face serious charges that carry the possibility of lengthy direct imprisonment if convicted. The offences fall under Schedule 5 of the Criminal Procedure Act, placing the onus on the accused to satisfy the court that it is in the interest of justice for them to be released on bail. Investigators believe the truck carrying the substance, which is used to manufacture Mandrex, was allegedly hidden in a special created steel compartment inside a truck destined for an undisclosed location in South Africa when it was stopped at the border post. The case has been postponed to the 18th of June for the bail application. Dimakatso Leshoro, Eyewitness News in Musina.
The role of senior Hawks officer Gavin Jacob in the seizure of a large drug consignment is facing further scrutiny, with new testimony linking him to allegedly mishandling the process. The Madlanga Commission of Inquiry continues to hear evidence on the 2021 theft of 200 million rand worth of cocaine from the Hawks offices in Port Shepstone. Hawks officer Gwazigwakhe Sibia is today under questioning, having been involved in processing the scene during the June drug bust. Alfara Mushwana has more.
Lieutenant Colonel Gwazigwakhe Sibia has told the Madlanga Commission that in June 2021, he was asked to accompany Colonel Gavin Jacob and Warrant Officer Livingston Mpangase to a drug bust. However, Sibia had no experience in drug operations or in handling large consignments of seized contraband. He says both Mpangase and Jacob were instructing him on how to process the drugs and was not aware that their instructions were unlawful.
I normally assist everyone in the office who requests assistance, so I don't see anything wrong by assisting, but the person who's responsible is the investigating officer.
He says the decision not to cordon off the scene of the drug bust was taken by Jacob. Over the past few weeks, the commission has heard that this compromised the investigation into the drugs. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
And in South Korea, the head of the Election Commission has resigned following demonstrations over ballot shortages. This morning, riot police cleared protesters from a polling station following a near 2-day blockade. On Wednesday, citizens took to the polls for the first nationwide vote since President Lee Jae-myung took office. He took over following the ousting of Yoon Suk-yeol over his martial law declaration. 14 polling stations ran short of ballot papers on Wednesday, which was blamed on a failure to anticipate the turnout. President Lee has now ordered an investigation into the ballot shortage, describing it as a flaw that is difficult to accept. Gold is trading at $4,437.45 an ounce. The rand is at 16.35 to the dollar, 21.94 to the pound, 18.96 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $94.22 a barrel.
We're still dealing with that accident scene in Krugersdorp. This is on Hendrik Potgieter opposite Cradlestone Mall, causing huge delays approaching the N14. Germiston, bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N3 northbound between the Inlands Interchange and Geldenhuys and in Benoni. Slow-moving traffic on Rangeview Road between Dube and Tom Jones.
In your sports, new Liverpool head coach Andoni Iraola fully ready for the challenge of fighting for major titles. The latest from the French Open semi-final between Jakub Mensik and Alexander Zverev. And Siabelo Sinatla alongside Sasha Feinberg Mgomezulu to Mr. Stormer's URC semi-final against Leinster.
It's a partly cloudy Friday in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 14 and 16 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, President Cyril Ramaphosa says the success of HIV prevention drug lenacapavir will depend on education, responsibility and ending stigma.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
We're calling on Joburg to walk the inner city with us. In 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
A very good afternoon, everyone. It's 9 minutes past 3 on Friday, the 5th of June. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Wherever you're listening to us in 702 land, welcome to the show. 9 police officers have been suspended for their role in awarding a lucrative tender to the businessman Vusimuzi Matlala. This on a day where Major General Richard Shibiri has been dismissed, also for conduct that was in the spotlight at the Madlanga Commission. The Commission is undoubtedly having consequences for a number of police officials and others. But how many and for what? We'll take stock of all of that at around 20 past 3. After 5, we'll look at the process of suspension in the South African Police Service and ask whether it achieves the purpose for which it is meant. The injectable drug lenacapavir, as you heard with Mbali Dlamini, seen as a major advance in dealing with HIV/AIDS. It was officially launched for use in South Africa today.
Its effectiveness has been proven to be 100% in preventing onward transmission. It is easy to take because you have to take it only twice a year. It is accessible because it will be provided and you have to come only twice a year. It frees you from any barriers which were affecting previously retention and treatment. It is 100% effective, proven by science, and it is accessible and affordable.
That was Alanka Malvia, who represents the United Nations body UNAIDS in our region. Lenacapavir has been widely welcomed, but questions are being asked firstly about the cost of the drug and the effectiveness of efforts to bring that down, and debates too about who should be first in line for treatment. More on that after 4. We'll talk to Dr. Nomathemba Chandiwana, who is with the Desmond Tutu Health Foundation. We have one more 5,000 Rand fuel voucher to give away, courtesy of My Way. That'll set someone up for an excellent weekend. This being Friday, Randall Abrams is with us for Randall's One Song. The Rolling Stones, in a somewhat quieter moment, Randall will reflect on the song and its origins and significance at 10 to 5. And in our other weekly feature, A Song, a Book and a Dish, this man will be our guest.
I want you right now. I need you right now. Can't go without you, girl. Without you, give me a while.
Loyiso Bala has had a great career and a very, very interesting life. He'll step into our studio at 20 to 6 with a favorite book, a special song, and memories of food cooked and shared. On the markets, the JSE is up today by 435 points, driven by strong gains from the industrial index. That's up by 1.3%. In 4. Mr. Price has gained 14.8%. That's a jump. Canal Plus, newly listed, has had another good day, up by 7. Sasol is up by 6.1%. Pepkor is up by 3.8. By contrast, as I mentioned, resources and platinum stocks in particular struggling. Northam down by 4.9%, Implats by 4.5%, and Valterra by 3.8%. The rand is trading at 16 rand 27 against the dollar. A euro will cost you 18 rand 94, and 21 rand 91 will get you a pound. The oil price today, Brent crude up by 67 cents a barrel, currently trading at $95.11. Stephen Critters joining us with all the market news at 25 past 4. I'm sure there's an explanation for that huge jump in the Mr. Price share. Stephen, I'm certain, will know the answers to that. We'll get sport with Tolakele Mganga, men's semi-final time at a French Open where upsets have very much been the order of the day. And Mbali Dlamini joins us at 3:30 with the very latest news headlines. This is 702 Drive. We're live in the place where you live, and if it's happening in 702 land, you will get to hear about it here first. Of course, if there's something we don't know about, something we know about but don't know everything about, or something where we plain and simple have got the wrong end of the shtick, give us a call on 072 702 1702. And if you want to give us a phone call, 011 883 0702. Lots going on, by the way. I did say we were going to be talking. We're going to be talking to Thabiso Goba about the Madlanga Commission and its outcomes. If I sound distracted, it's because I am. I'm looking at one TV screen which says the Special Investigating Unit has seized assets belonging to Morgan Maumela, who has been named as someone involved in Tembisa Hospital looting issues. And then on the other screen, Newsroom Africa the first, ENCA the second, and a company called Omar's Motor Den. They've got special orders against them as well. And this, according to these news sources, are saying this is also linked to Tembisa Hospital. So plenty to figure out and find out. We'll be tracking those stories as they unfold through the day. 702 Drive, it's 3:15.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
Right. We've been giving away 5,000 Rand fuel vouchers throughout the week, and each time we've set you a little challenge. Today's question, but I want feedback from my colleagues as well. That first week, maybe it's 2 weeks, maybe it's a couple of days, maybe it's a little bit longer, a month, but those first days after you've got your driver's license, what are your memories of that time? Any particular stories that you've got to share on that? I have one of my own, which could have ended up way worse than it actually did. But the fact of the matter is, the point at which I was on the road, without anyone else going, in the passenger seat next to you, i.e. my dad, suddenly you're out on your own and you're on the road. So I want to get your stories, please, on 072-702-1702. But Karabo Charlie, let's start with you. First week on the road, how are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks, John. Good afternoon. I remember I was just excited to drive to varsity for the first time and show off to my friends. And I remember I was driving my dad's Corolla. But then that same week, I had to drive to Limpopo. I had to drive my mother to Limpopo. There was a funeral, and I think my dad was busy, and there was no one to drive my mother. And I was like so excited to volunteer. I was like, I'll take you. And it was the longest drive ever. And
yes,
I remember when I got to Limpopo, my shoulders were so sore, as if I was carrying things on my shoulders. And it was the longest drive because I was super careful. And but I was chuffed. I was like, I drove all this way. Nice.
You were excited, but your mother wasn't.
Yes, I was about to ask exactly that question. So, okay. But you did okay.
Yeah,
In a
no, I
sense,
didn't. Yeah.
you were exhausted,
Yeah.
but no mishaps.
No.
Jonathan Fairbairn, I imagine you as a capable driver from day one. You just give that vibe.
Well, I was capable and I was confident, but funny enough, I did fail my driver's license first time round and managed to get a reappointment the very next day and then passed. But I had a mate whose dad owned a business and he had lots of delivery vans.
Yes.
And at the factory where he operated from, he would let us take the car out and driving in the factory. So I got used to driving at quite a young age. I mean, my mate, he could drive at 13. He could drive wherever he wanted to, really. Not very legal, but he did. So when I eventually got my driver's license, I was quite confident and capable. I didn't even have the L on the back, which was quite nice. But my sister, that was a stress of note. So she got her license and she was working. We were staying in the West Rand and she was working all the way in the East Rand.
Yes.
So she was a bag of nerves, and every day my mother would drive with her. And it was a stress for the family, you know. So my mother would go with her. Week she got into the groove and became, settled and confident about it. But those early days, I remember, hectic and stressful.
Yeah. In my first week of driving, I had an on-road dispute with a large truck about who had the particular right of way turning out of Market Street into Diagonal Street. I tried to sort of do like a little Kimi Antonelli and cut in on the inside.
Yeah,
Fortunately, we were very, very badly. I mean, as you can imagine, it was close, but the truck won, as they invariably do. But I lost a door handle. On my mom's car. That was as bad as it got, but it was sobering. I was not a good driver.
What was
I'm
worse,
a bit better now.
That incident or going home and having to explain, Mom,
no,
your car is remodeled.
Yeah, no, you're going to have to get in the passenger side and shuffle. No, a truck that close to you and then a loud noise is probably worse.
Yeah, well, you came off pretty lightly with a hand.
Very, very lightly indeed. Never did it again. So your stories, please. First week of driving, give us a call on 011 883 0702. We would want to hear your stories anyway, but we throw into the mix that wonderful 5,000 Rand fuel voucher courtesy of My Way. My Way, live your way. 3:20. Let's find out what's happening on the roads. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, John. Once again, let me start in Krugersdorp. There's that accident scene on Hendrik Potgieter opposite Cradlestone Mall. This is causing huge delays all the way from the N14 in Doornkop. That's in Soweto. There's bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is on the R558 Adcock Road. Between Main Road and Wild Chestnut. It looks like there's an accident scene there. There's also bumper-to-bumper traffic in Germiston on the N3 northbound. Between the Elands Interchange and Galdenes due to an earlier accident. In Benoni, slow-moving traffic on Rangeview Road between Duba and Tom Jones, and in Irene, traffic pressure on Namaipias Drive approaching Main Road. To report any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Madlanga Commission, siyabonga, siyabonga. Madlanga Commission, siyakubonga, siyabonga. Madlanga Commission, siyabonga, siyabonga. Madlanga Commission, siyakubonga.
You know what the worst part about this song is? It's gonna be stuck in my head the whole time, and it's not a good thing.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
What if the problem you face became the business that changed everything? That's what Nedbank Business Ignite on 702 is all about, with this year's theme, My Pain, My Purpose, My Solution. We're calling on small businesses that turned real challenges into powerful ideas. You could win 200,000 Rand in cash, plus mentorship, business support, and tools to help you grow sustainably. Enter the Nedbank Business Ignite on 702 now at primemediaplus.com or igniteyourbusiness.co.za. See money differently. Nedbank, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Smart Steve from Momentum, hello.
How's it, But? It's Jason here, your favorite gymfluencer.
Jason, still lifting more than your selfie stick?
Always, But. Gotta stay shredded, eh? But I'm worried about one thing. What if a major illness hits? Who's got my back?
Relax, Jason. Momentum's critical illness cover is your spotter. It offers the most comprehensive cover in the market.
Buddy, I'm signing up faster than I could do 10 reps. But I'm worried about something else, eh?
Let me guess. How many protein shakes it takes before you turn into the incredible bulk?
No, man. Will anyone notice if I skip a leg day?
Chat to your financial advisor about Momentum's critical illness cover. Momentum, protecting your journey to success. Momentum is an authorized financial services and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Oh, Shane, do you have a sore throat? The Andalex range of lozenges offers two options. At the first signs of an irritated, scratchy throat, use Andalex lozenges for dual action, soothing relief. But for a painful, inflamed throat, use Andalex C lozenges for triple action, pain relief. Andalex, SA's #1 choice for a sore mouth and throat. Andalex lozenges are available at all leading pharmacies and supermarkets.
Just Andalex it.
When choosing a university, facts matter. WITS is ranked #1 in Africa in the 2026 Center for World University Rankings out of more than 21,000 universities worldwide. This ranking uses objective data to assess universities on the academic and employment success of alumni, research quality and impact, as well as major distinctions and awards. No spin, no surveys, no perceptions, just facts. WITS has earned its place in the ranking that matters. WITS, for good. wits.ac.za.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
24 minutes past 3. Okay, so we're keeping a close eye on, first of all, the SIU say they're executing a court order, and what they're doing is they are at a car company in Imalahleni, out in Mpumalanga, called Omar's Motor Den, and they're there to collect, we understand, a Bentley that belongs to Morgan Maumela, but there are other steps being taken as well, as we understand it. Not directly related to the Madlanga Commission. Our understanding is this is related to the work the SIU has been doing in regard to the looting of Tembisa Hospital. But there's no doubt as well that the Madlanga Commission is having, and its work is having reverberations in the criminal justice system. We heard today of 9 people being suspended by the SAPS. I misunderstood. In fact, these are 9 police officers who are already appearing in court in regard to a tender given to the businessman Vusimuzi Matlala. But we thought it would be a good time to take stock of who exactly has felt some fire under their feet as a result of the Madlanga Commission, but I think it's fair to say some work done by some excellent investigative journalists as well before we even had a Madlanga Commission. Let's bring in Thabiso Goba. He's our man covering the commission and has been doing it for a while. Thabiso, good afternoon. Let's take stock because I think there are different threads. So there's the Medicare 24 tender scandal. Quite a few arrests, some suspensions. Who's been in the firing line there, and at what stage is the criminal procedure against them?
Good afternoon, John. I think one of the things, John, that there isn't sort of much of a commission fatigue with the Madlanga Commission is that, unlike previous commissions, we are seeing consequences in real time. And I think, obviously, for public perception, that's been very good. It's something that even President Cyril Ramaphosa alluded to. As you said, John, there was this 360 million rand tender from SAPS awarded to Medicare 24, a company that's owned by tender tycoon and alleged criminal underboss Vusimuzi Matlala. This tender was obviously later cancelled as it was found to be irregular, and as a result, there's been a number of people who have been arrested but also have been suspended from their jobs. And I don't think it gets much bigger than Fanny Masemola, the suspended National Police Commissioner. It's important to understand that he wasn't necessarily suspended for corruption or even arrested for corruption. His charges relate to the violating of the PFMA, the Public Finance Management Act. Basically, what he's charged with is that he failed to cancel the tender in time because the tender was irregular even when it's awarded. And obviously, as the senior accounting officer within SAPS, it fell on him to ensure that there was proper oversight. You mentioned, John, that the SAPS today has announced 9 officers who have been suspended. These are the same officers who also appeared alongside Mr. Fani Masemola. We are believed that these officers, they serve in the bid evaluation committee. This is a committee that evaluates tenders on behalf of the SAPS, and they've also been suspended and they're also arrested because they also failed to do their oversight duties. But there's also those allegations that there could have been corruption.
Yeah, and just to mention some of them, to give you a sense of their rank as well: Major General Busisiwe Temba, Brigadier Rachel Macheng, Brigadier Kirsty Jonker, Colonel Anton Paulson, Colonel Nonjabulo Mgadi, Captain Brian Cartwright. And it goes right through the ranks there, it would seem. Then there have been other arrests. Sergeant Fani Nkosi, Crime Intelligence Officer Feroz Khan, Gauteng Hawks boss Ibrahim Kadwa. All unrelated to each other. Well, Feroz Khan and Ibrahim Kadwa, as I understand, in the dock together, but Fani Nkosi on his own.
Yes, this is sort of like this Al Capone strategy. You remember that Al Capone was this mafia boss in America, and the American police couldn't get him on the number of killings and drug trafficking that he did, and he was eventually arrested for tax evasion. So these people, Sergeant Fani Nkosi, Crime Intelligence Officers Feroz Khan and Ibrahim Kadwa, even when you're looking at Ekurhuleni Metro Police Deputy Chief Julius Mkhwanazi, these are people who've been arrested, but they are not necessarily arrested for what came out of the Madlaga Commission. You'll take Sergeant Fani Nkosi. Sergeant Fani Nkosi is arrested on a number of issues. This relates to the violating of the Firearms Control Act. There was firearms stored in his place. There was also police dockets that were stored in his place. There was also a large amount of undeclared cash that was stored in his place. When you look at the crime intelligence officers, Mr. Feroz Khan and Ibrahim Kadwa, they were arrested for the possession of unprocessed gold. We don't know why 2 crime intelligence officers had in their possession unprocessed gold. And then the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Deputy Chief Julius Mkhwanazi, he was arrested for facilitating an impersonator for the Ekurhuleni city manager. The Ekurhuleni city manager was supposed to appear in court for a traffic violation. However, they found someone else to appear in his place, and that was because at the time, or the court states, he had to go for an interview to become the city manager of Ekurhuleni municipality.
Let's just focus on one more personality. The KZN Hawks head Lisicha Sinona is under investigation back at the Madlaga Commission next week. The Citibank Police Commissioner Mbangwa Nkwashu is also very much in the spotlight. But today, dismissed Organised Crime Unit boss Richard Shibiri. Why was he dismissed?
Richard Shibiri, John, received what he calls a 70,000 rand loan from Vusimuzi Matlala. And he received this loan prior to Vusimuzi Matlala getting this alleged this irregular 360 million rand tender. Now, the issue with that, John, is that one, it obviously raises a number of suspicion. Why is he getting a loan from a private citizen? And 2, if you are the head of organized crime at SAPS and you get a gift or even a loan of 70,000 rand, you are supposed to declare it. You can't just get, and he never declared it. And then there's also this suspicion that he could have been in cahoots with Vusimuzi Matlala along with that 360 million rand tender that Vusimuzi Matlala later got from the SAPS. And then there's Leseja Sinona. We know that he's implicated in the disappearance or the theft of the cocaine at the Hawks offices worth a street value of 200 million rand. So he's also been suspended. And another honorable mention to Brown Mokhotsi, John, is you'll know that he calls himself a police informant. We know he's also been arrested for staging his own assassination.
So my total is running at 25, but that's a lot more consequence than we've seen over many years out of commissions of inquiry. Thank you, Tabiso Koba, keeping track on a large cast of characters and a complex set of events and consequences. We'll call him in again when we get puzzled and confused. It's 29 minutes to 4. Okay, let's catch up on the very latest eyewitness news. Busy day in Bali. Dlamini, what have you got?
Well, John, a very good afternoon. The Overstrand officials are urging foreign nationals who feel unsafe after ongoing unrest in the area to seek assistance from the municipality to be repatriated. Around 140 foreign nationals, mostly from Malawi and Mozambique, are set to be transported to their home countries from Kleinmond later today. More than 400 people from various African countries are being temporarily housed at facilities in the Overstrand. The municipality says up to 90% of the displaced are undocumented migrants. Carlo Peterson is in Kleinmond today and files this report.
Kleinmond Ward Councillor and Speaker of the Overstrand Municipality, Grant Cohen, says Immigration Service officials arrived in the town on Monday to offer those affected repatriation. Cohen says about 300 displaced foreign nationals are also being housed at facilities in Gansbaai and Stanford. He says a march is also underway in Hermanus, where a group of local residents are warning undocumented foreigners to return to their home countries.
So there are a couple of marches which have started today, this morning actually, in different areas. I know at Gansbaai Way we've had already in Stanford. Today it was more of Hermanus and Loxaweni, which is also in the Gansbaai area. So there are talks of more things happening. Of course, it's a countrywide thing.
Cohen urged residents to assist government agencies by reporting undocumented foreign nationals to officials. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News in Kleinmond.
Residents of Ward 98 in Khayelitsha are calling on the councillor elected during this year's local government elections to put the community's needs first. The ward includes Ilita Park, Harare and Monwabisi Park informal settlement. It was amongst the areas represented at a DA event today where the party unveiled 4 candidates set to contest ANC-held wards in Khayelitsha. Ntutu Zelonene reports.
Residents of Khayelitsha continue to face major challenges, including deteriorating infrastructure, high levels of crime and widespread youth unemployment. The DA in the Western Cape says it is confident its candidates are capable of addressing these issues and delivering meaningful change. One Ward 98 resident says whichever party wins must make service delivery a priority.
What we want here is change, and on November 4, people must come out in numbers to go and vote. We've been patient for too long, but now it's time for change.
Residents say they will be looking to the next council leadership to turn promises into action and improve living conditions in their communities. Dutuzela Nene, Eyewitness News in Khayelitsha.
And the UK government is considering levelling up protections for cohabiting couples. It's proposing making prenuptial and postnuptial agreements legally binding. According to reports, under the suggested reforms, people could gain access to a share of a house sale when they separate from their partner. The Justice Ministry has launched a consultation asking for views on these proposals. There are more than 3.5 million unmarried couples who live together in the United Kingdom. It's a partly cloudy Friday afternoon in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 14 and 16 degrees.
Accident scene in Krugersdorp. This is on Hendrik Potgieter opposite Cradlestone Mall. This is causing huge delays approaching the N14. Doornkop, Soweto, traffic heavily backed up on the R558 Adcock Road between Main Street and Wild Chestnut due to an earlier accident.
The top story in EWN, Overstrand officials are urging foreign nationals who feel unsafe after ongoing unrest in that area to seek assistance from the municipality to be repatriated.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
A major step in fighting HIV infections in South Africa. A new injectable drug called lenacapavir being officially launched. Let's understand more about this with Mia Milan, who's the editor-in-chief at Becky Sisa.
So what makes it revolutionary and the reason why scientists are so excited about it is because it only has to be taken once every 6 months. So we've had other medicine, a daily pill that you can take to prevent yourself from getting HIV, and people often forget to take it or it doesn't fit their lifestyles. So the reason they are so excited now is because they feel it is kind of medicine that's easier to adhere to because you only have to take it once every 6 months.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
The 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk is calling on you to walk with the people for the people on Sunday, 26 July. Babize bonke. And this year, you can choose from 3 different inner city routes. The 8K 44 Main Street route takes you from Ellis Park through Maboneng and Jewel City, past the Field of Dreams and the Maharishi Invincibility Institute. You then go through the Main Street precinct, Gandhi Square, and past the Carlton Centre, finishing off at Ellis Park. So, whether you're taking on the 8-kilometre 5K or 15-kilometre walk, enter now on primemediaplus.com and get ready for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg.
It's that time of the year. Sore throats, congestion, wet and dry coughs, pain and fever. For trusted relief for you and your family, ask your pharmacist to recommend a winter survival pack from the Adcock Ingram OTC range. With products like Medikil A, Expigen, Corenza Parac, Adconapamol, Dilinct Junior and more, we have you covered this winter. Remember, Adcock Ingram OTC, sponsors of Brave.
Still shopping around for a saving here and a deal there? Choose Checkers, SA's #1 in value supermarket, and save on deals like Sprite, Fanta or Stony soft drink or Schweppes soda water 2 litres, any 2 for 37 Rand. Yum Yum peanut butter 800 grams for 69.99, and Sensodyne repair or sensitive toothpaste 75 mils for 74.99 each. Valid until 7 June, only at Checkers.
So on the 1st of June, a couple of days ago, it was World Milk Day. One day to celebrate the power of this important food. But of course, the journey behind every glass of milk is worth appreciating every day. And that's why Nestlé Nespray is encouraging families to look beyond the glass and discover the journey of care, quality, and local farming and sustainability behind every serving. Now, if you look at a glass of Nestlé Nespray, trust me, where it begins is out in the fields with local farmers. It's made using 100% locally sourced fresh milk from more than 96 dairy farms across the Eastern and Western Cape. And as that process goes on and on and on, local agriculture grows, jobs are created, and communities thrive. Quality and care matter from farm to family with trusted dairy farms, rigorous quality checks, and expert care, helping to ensure the standards that families across South Africa will rely on every day. Nestlé Nespray is made to support growing children. It's specially formulated for kids aged from 7 to 14. It's got vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin D. There's iron and zinc as well, all of it boosting growth and development. Nestlé Nespray wants you to ask the good questions about where your food comes from and the journey it takes from farm to family, because when you understand the journey behind your food, every glass means just that little bit more. Nestlé Nespray, always giving more.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John Vinny G. Sure, I remember thinking, what changed? 1 minute I had to have somebody on the left-hand side of me telling me what, where, and how, and but for a single piece of paper and a short test, I was now out here on my own, a movable violation, traveling violation, and I was on my way to the airport, and I thought, sure, nobody around here knows what's happened to me. Something fundamental has changed, and yet it hasn't changed their life. Well, perhaps that was just as well. If I'd had an accident, it might have changed their lives. But yeah, it was a wonderful experience and great to be free. Cheers.
Good afternoon, 70 team. Thinking back to when I first got my driver's license, my family lived in Vereniging at the time, and I was driving my dad's Land Rover around. And that first week, I remember taking the long trip from sort of Randburg side to Vereniging, driving about 80 kilometers an hour the whole way, dripping with sweat because I was so nervous as to not bang my dad's car. And I just remember getting there and thinking, wow, that was hectic. That was intense. It's time for a shower. Have a great afternoon. Thanks, guys, for the trip down memory lane.
Hi, Dr. John and the team. So I got my first car about 3 weeks after getting my license. And I remember I went to Kia in Roodepoort, which is on Deckers Road. So getting into the car, driving out of the dealership, I was working at Kia Water Mall at that time. I was driving down on Deckers Road, and let me tell you, the traffic light guards were on my side because each and every traffic light that I had to go through was just turning green. So green on green on green on green, which was really my lucky day because 3 weeks, you can't even balance a clutch on that manual. So I was really nervous, but the traffic lights were doing their magic and I got to work feeling like, that was so easy. And it made my first drive as smooth can be. Great show.
Yeah, lucky on that first drive. That worry about banging your dad's car. I got that out of the way on my very, very first time trying to learn to drive. Admittedly, it was a small ding rolling backwards into the car behind me at a stop street in Fairland. Not too much damage done to them either. Yeah, we learn. Hopefully we learn. 702 Drive. Please do keep those coming on 072 702 1702. We're listening to everything you've sent. We're going to pick one. And that lucky person, or that person, they're not lucky because they sent us a great voice note, as have all of you so far. That person is going to walk away with a 5,000 Rand fuel voucher, courtesy of My Way. It's 17 minutes to 4.
EWN Sport.
Tolakele, Liverpool have a new manager and the French Open will have a new champion. You've got all of that and more.
Absolutely, John. And Andoni Iraola says the chance to win trophies was the biggest pull following his appointment as Liverpool head coach in a 2-year deal. The Spaniard replaces Arne Slot, who led the Reds to the Premier League title in his debut campaign, but was sacked after failing to live up to expectations in his second season.
I think you don't need a lot of things to get attracted by Liverpool. No, Liverpool is Liverpool. But obviously, the atmosphere, the supporters, the club, the players, the chance for me to coach top-level players, the chance to fight for titles, I think it cannot be more attractive than this. It's difficult to find it, so really excited to start, yes.
In Paris, Jakub Mensik is up against Alexander Zverev in the first men's semi-final at Roland Garros. An update from it sees Zverev having won the first set 7-5. After this, childhood friends Matteo Analdi and Flavio Caboli face off for a place in the final. Analdi has spent the most amount of time on court by a player en route to reaching a Grand Slam men's quarterfinal since 1991, having played close to 20 hours across his 5 matches.
Yeah, we are good friends. We practice a lot together. We played a lot since we were like 12, 11. So, we know each other very well. It's going to be a tough one, obviously. We both played a lot. I played a little bit more. But, last year we played here, he won in 4. And we played a lot in the Challenger. So I hope it's going to be a good fight. But, at the same time, I hope it's going to be a good match to watch and to enjoy on court as well for both.
In the United Rugby Championship, the semi-finals this weekend will see the Bulls away to the Glasgow Warriors while Leinster take on the Stormers. The Cape side have been forced into 3 injury-enforced changes with Siabelo Sinatla, Sasha Feinberg-Ngomezulu, as well as Ruben van Heerden ruled out, while Wandisile Simelane, Yuri Matea and Connor Evans step in. For Hugo Keenan, he says the Irish side expect a tough challenge against their opponents.
They were first in the URC for the majority of this season. I think they've got the second best defence in the league, and they have that X factor in their back line as well. So we know what a challenge it'll be, how good they were in the quarters on the weekend and how good they can be. And it's going to be another step up this week and require a bigger and better performance from ourselves.
And Ireland head coach Andy Farrell has signed a contract extension with the Irish Rugby Football Union until 2031. He's been in charge since 2019 and led them to 2 Six Nations title, as well as a historic Test Series win over the All Blacks in New Zealand. Farrell's immediate attention will turn to finalising his squad for the inaugural Nations Championship. That's where they'll face Australia and Japan on the 4th and the 11th of July. Tolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
14 minutes to 4, rush hour earlier in general on a Friday. So, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by GWM. class-leading vehicles that help you navigate your journey. Karabo Chali, Doornkorp is first of the day's trouble spots.
Yeah, that's in the Soweto area between Dobsonville and Protea Glen. You can expect heavy delays in the Doornkorp area. This is on the R558 Adcock Road between Main Street and Wild Chestnut. This is all due to an accident scene. In Germiston, also bumper traffic on the N3 northbound heading towards Bedford View between the Elands Interchange and Haldenace. Also due to an earlier accident. Benoni, there's slow-moving traffic on Rangeview Road between Dube and Tom Jones. While in Doornpoort, Pretoria, bumper traffic on the N4 westbound between Dr. Swanepoel and Bravery, and in Irene. Traffic pressure, this is on Maypierce Drive approaching Main Road. To report any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Another fuel hike means more adjustments, like using every loyalty point just to get by.
Okay, use the points first, then this voucher. Wait, I have a coupon on my app for the bread. And then I'll swipe the remaining R2, please.
Don't let the fuel hikes restrict you. Get 5,000 Rand for fuel when you buy any GWM vehicle this month. Visit your nearest dealership or go to gwm.co.za to book a test drive. T's and C's apply. GWM. Go with more.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive at 12 minutes to 4. Just to remind you, we are on YouTube. Go to the YouTube, find YouTube on Google, go to that page, and then just type in John Perlman 702 Drive Live, and you can keep an eye on us while we do our thing. It's great to have you with us on this Friday. Tola Kelly, we were just reflecting on that first week, maybe a little bit longer, just after you've got your license. Uneventful for you? Did you sail through it? Was it nerve-wracking?
Absolutely not. I remember we had a family event in Naledi, Soweto, and my dad drives a Cressida. So he was like, well, since you have your license, you can drive us home. Yo, John.
Back to Katlong now.
Yes. People in Soweto don't have any respect for you being a learner driver, hey? I remember us being on the freeway, the back route, Yako Lenasia.
Yeah.
We were driving that way, and I was literally like, John, I was too scared to go above 40.
Which lane are you in?
Left. People are hooting at me because it's like past 7.
Can't imagine why.
I'm like, excuse me, first of all, I've never driven this humongous car before.
Yes.
But also, it's a route I'm very uncomfortable with because even when we were just using public transport, it was so busy. And then people are just like, no, hurry up, hooting. And then when they pass by you, like they're flipping you the zap sign. I'm like, this is very uncultured.
Yes.
A few years on, it's maybe I've flipped the zap sign to people since.
Yes.
But I've grown.
Hopefully the same people.
It better be.
Who got you. You wanted
I remember Tolegele's early days of driving.
Nervous.
I remember she gave me a ride home because she lived in Katlong. I lived in Germiston, so it's on the same route. And she was so slow.
Yep.
I think I slept and I woke up. It took us 2 hours. But but the funny thing, right, about her, it was
Yes.
your first car, right? On our way home, we're going on the M1. We could have just went straight to the Crown interchange, but no, not Tolagele. Tolagele took the taxi route.
Yes.
We went into the Joburg CBD, followed the taxis out, then onto the
Down
M2.
through Boysons, eh?
And I'm like, are you kidding
I
me?
was still getting used to the routes.
Oh, she's just showing you
It's
a bit
just-
of the city that you've been ignoring.
You could have
for a
just
long
asked
time.
me, Tolagele.
No.
Anyway, she gave you a lift. Took a while. So please, your memories, send them to us on 072 702 1702 and 011 883 0702. Memories of those early days of driving just after you got your license, please.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
Hi, John. I love this topic. I think I was just born driving. I didn't have no nerves, nothing. I went in the car, moved from Devon straight to Pretoria. Yes, like I was driving on, you know, Bosman. When you're going to Bosman, going down Blue Street, hey, taxis don't play there. But I was there when they hoot, I hoot. So I never had any problem. Now my son and my daughter are driving. My son also no issues, drove very early, like I don't know. When I open my eyes, I'm like, oh, he can drive.
If they hoot, I hoot. I guess that's one way of dealing with a certain kind of dialogue on Gauteng roads. Right, it's 9 minutes to 4. Let's focus, I think, on what is turning out to be one of the biggest stories today. I was telling you a little bit earlier, if you were listening sometime around 3:10, that the Special Investigating Unit had obtained 2 orders from the Special Tribunal. This against a car dealership in Emalahleni, Witbank, as some people may have known it in the past, company called Omar Motor Den, and all of this is connected to the businessman Hangwani Maumela and a certain Bentley that was supposed to have been preserved by court orders. Fairly complicated stuff, but here's a man who can make sense of it all. Jeff Wicks, a very good afternoon to you. Quite dramatic stuff. A very, very expensive vehicle there. Contempt of court is something that the courts will rule on later. Fill us in on the picture. What happened today and why is it important? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John. Thank you. I think the top line is obviously the skirmish between Yusuf Omar, the owner of Omar's Motor Den, now with police and SIU officials, leading to his arrest. But I think the basis of all of this is the movement of the specific Bentley. Now, at one point, it was owned by the MHR Maumela Family Trust, which is obviously pumped full of proceeds from Tembisa Hospital looting. And that car has changed hands several times, and that really is the issue behind this court order, is that the SIU traced a flow of funds that saw the purchase of this car. It was purchased by Hangwani Maumela's Family Trust, and then it started moving through the hands of other companies whilst always being in situ at Omar's. And that gave the SIU reasonable suspicion that the asset would be dissipated, and that's sort of the basis of this court order. And now we see that Mr. Omar himself was less than cooperative and is now in the back of a police van.
In terms of how this all fits in, because quite a few people, as the Madlanga Commission has unfolded, Jeff, have said, how come Hangwani Maumela doesn't appear to be involved in any of the hearings? There doesn't appear to be any pressure on him. First of all, is that true? Because as I understand it, the SIU has acted against him in terms of assets. But secondly, does this denote some kind of shift, if indeed that is to some degree a reality?
I think it's difficult to explain, but let me attempt it. So, I think the SIU and their pursuit of his assets already began to bite last year, and this is just an extension of that. His involvement via the Madlanga Commission is obviously through Kat Matlala, and the messages which were exchanged between himself, Kat Matlala, and Yusuf Karim. Or Suleiman Karim, my apologies.
Yes.
So Mr. Maumela's fingerprints are not only all over Tembisa Hospital, which we've already established, and that informed today's action, but so too at the Madlanga Commission, and it remains to be seen whether he will be called. I think if the Commission had an endless mandate and lots of time on their hands, he probably would have been. But I'm certainly watching with keen interest, because he is materially involved. Through our own investigation, we established that Kat Matlala met with Beki Cele at Morgan's mansion in Zimbabwe, the same mansion that was paid for with Tembisa Hospital loot. So he cannot divorce himself from this. Whether or not he'll end up in the box remains to be seen.
So one of the reasons that I've heard advance for him not yet appearing at the Madlanga Commission is that they, for example, wouldn't be looking at Tembisa Hospital because it doesn't involve the South African Police Service. Does he have, let me just call it, proximity to the matters that Madlanga is investigating, i.e. Either interfering in the police for corrupt purposes or interfering in the police for the purposes of helping people evade justice?
Not that we've seen, John. I mean, his involvement via or his exposure through the Madlanga Commission has been tangential.
Yes.
Obviously, he's a central figure through Tembisa, and Tembisa, unfortunately, considering the stellar work the Madlanga Commission has done, falls outside of its terms of reference. That said, I think the focal point now must shift to the Hawks and to the NPA, because the SIU, in order to seize these assets and restrain them, has to provide a prima facie case to a court. If that case exists, we must ask the question, why has Mr. Maumela not yet been prosecuted for his misdeeds at Tembisa Hospital?
And Jeff, just finally, Omar's Motor Den and Yusuf Omar, in your investigations, but many others as well, luxury cars feature quite prominently, and this has been across a range of investigations, and people have spoken about dealerships that allow you to keep vehicles on their books so that should there be asset seizures, you have at least a degree of remove. I don't know if I'm crudifying a more complex process, but has Omar's Motor Den, for example, come across your radar either in that regard or something related?
Old stratagem for people who want to evade lifestyle audits or evade asset seizures to keep their luxury cars in dealer stock. Not to say that that's happened in Omar's, but we do have experience with examples such like that. And I can say that in 2023, I was in Omar's Auto Den undercover looking for one of Mr. Maumela's Lamborghinis. And what I needed was the VIN number, a small number printed on the windscreen because, of course, they have no number plates. And I was trying to link these vehicles back to him. And I was wandering around the dealership looking utterly poor as a journalist, peering at Lamborghinis, which I could never afford. And I spotted this blue Lamborghini, which fits the archetype of Mr. Maumela's taste in cars. And lo and behold, John, it was the only vehicle in that entire dealership with a sticker placed over the VIN number. Had that sticker not be there, I'm confident I would have been able to link it to Mr. Maumela. And this is now just proof positive that they have been holding his vehicles in a manner that raises quite considerable suspicion.
Just finally, court date had been set for, according to the SIU statement, for Yusuf Omar to appear on the 3rd of July. And they're saying they are looking to get a confirmation of a final order. I don't know if that's the correct legal term, but there may be contempt of court proceedings and possible imprisonment. Presumably that's a date to watch with great interest. But as you say, he's in police custody now.
I think that court date will be brought forward. I think he'll have a separate court date significantly sooner, considering his failure to comply today. But indeed, and we've seen that Omar's Auto Den has been extremely litigious. We've seen, the SIU attempting to seize assets from them, and they've been willing to take the fight to the SIU at the special tribunal. And with other vehicles, they've put up cash surety. And in this instance, we've seen the SIU bring some teeth to this fight.
Thank you so much, Jeff Wicks, News 24 reporter, joining us with very valuable insights, I think, into what happened out at high-end car dealership out in Imalahleni today. Keeping an eye on that story. We're trying to get hold of the SIU. We'll put them on the show when we get a chance. It's coming up now for 2 minutes to 4.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
Children ask this question, trying to understand one's identity at a deeper level. What is the story?
It is the energy that the person who named that child gives to that name. For example, if a child is named by a mother would normally look in the journey that they've had the past 9 months. For example, I was born Umuzo Muhle, ubese dimhlophe usibinda sibuzwa uphokophela kwempunu ulukhozo oney'mpiko zabadala umnqobi wezimpi.
Amala, siyathokoza. Muzi Zuma.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
Honor the Fathers on Sunday, 21 June at Nairox Sculpture Park celebrates the elders of South African music who helped shape the country's cultural heritage across many generations. Enjoy the typically warm Highveld winter sun while cherishing our fathers, grandfathers, stepfathers, father figures, fathers past and fathers to be. The program showcases the mastercrafts of Vusi Mahlasela, Herbie Tswaedi, Silailo Silota, Madala Kunene, and others. Limited tickets are available from NairoxArts.com. Nairox is a private not-for-profit foundation to benefit the arts. All income is used to maintain the grounds, the artist residency program, and artist support.
Families multiply, fees shouldn't. With Ultimate Banking, you get support for every chapter. Get discounted banking for your spouse and give each of your children a head start with a Mega U account. Because as your family grows, your banking should keep up. Apply online. Your story matters. ABSA. Terms and conditions apply. ABSA is an authorized financial services provider.
The Johannesburg Philharmonic Orchestra's Winter Symphony Season, featuring masterpieces by Beethoven, Tchaikovsky, and more, is sure to exhilarate music lovers. Concerts take place on Thursday evenings from 4 to 25 June at the Linda Auditorium. Tickets available at Quicket.
This is EWN.
SIU seizes the assets of Hangwani Maumela, and agitator or activist EWN sits down with Pagelum Tagati. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. The Special Investigating Unit has seized a lavish Bentley belonging to Hangwani Maumela, who has been linked to tender fraud at the Tembisa Hospital. The SIU has secured 2 orders from the Special Tribunal, with the first giving it the green light to seize the 3 million rand vehicle. The second order is for contempt of court against Omar's Motor Den for allegedly selling the vehicle despite being ordered not to. Alfa Ramshwana reports.
The Special Investigating Unit is currently raiding the Omar Motor Den dealership in Emalahleni, seeking to take the 3 million rand Bentley belonging to alleged tender fraudster Hangwani Maumela. The SIU believes there was an exchange of money for the vehicle, which could imply that there were attempts to sell it. While there was never a physical movement of the car, SIU spokesperson Selby Makhato says the dealership attempted to sell it.
The selling and transfer of the vehicle is a clear breach of the undertaking that the dealership made on the 9th of October 2025, where they stated that Omar intended in good faith to cooperate with any investigation in respect of any vehicles that concern the respondents.
The owner of the dealership has now been arrested for contempt of court. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
Minister in the Presidency, Khumbudzo Ntshavheni, says Cabinet has approved a comprehensive action plan on migration that will be communicated by the President. Ntshavheni says the migration plan is part of government's response to the illegal immigration crisis currently facing the country. But Ntshavheni told a post-cabinet briefing earlier today that the planned shutdown at the end of the month won't be tolerated by government. Babalondenze has more.
The new migration plan comes as hundreds of foreign nationals flee the country due to growing fears of violence and a planned shutdown by anti-immigration groups like March and March. Ntshavheni also issued a stern warning to those who take the law into their own hands. She says President Cyril Ramaphosa will be providing direction soon on the country's response to the migration crisis.
Cabinet received and approved a comprehensive approach to managing migration in South Africa, developed by the Inter-Ministerial Committee on Migration, and approved the National Action Plan, which is called NAP, a country report on migration in South Africa. The President will address the nation on this matter, so the details will be provided by the President.
But Ntshavheni has refused to share information about who the government has identified as being behind the protests. She says Ramaphosa's announcement will be communicated soon. Babalondenze, Eyewitness News.
At the same time, activist Nkosikhona Ndabandaba has blamed opportunists for the violence and looting during his anti-illegal immigrant marches. Popularly known as Pagelum Tagati, Ndabandaba has recently gained media attention for leading well-attended marches across the country. While some marches have been mostly peaceful, there have been sporadic incidents of violence. Ndabandaba recently sat down for an interview with EWN. Tabiso Koba has the details.
Agitator or activist Nkosikhona Ndabandaba says he's just a concerned South African. For over the past couple of months, Ndabandaba has captured the country's attention. Dressed in Zulu cultural garb, he's led massive marches across the country in what he calls a bid to bring attention to the problem of illegal immigration in South Africa. However, elements of looting have now crept into the movement, more recently in Escorts and Durban.
I've never been part of any march that has done looting. I have led biggest crowds in South Africa. Nobody has led biggest crowds as I do alone, but there's been no looting. These are opportunists who uses these marches when we are not there and they start looting. And police must deal with those people because they are not part of us.
Ndabandaba himself has also been captured on video slapping an adult man during one of his marches.
No, it's not me, it's AI.
This is you. It's a real video.
No,
this is you.
That is AI. That is AI.
EWN has verified the video as authentic. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
President Cyril Ramaphosa says the success of HIV prevention drug lenacapavir will depend on education, taking responsibility and ending stigma. He says the injectable drug will be rolled out to help in the fight against HIV and AIDS, and it's not a silver bullet. Ramaphosa has been addressing an event to mark the rollout of the drug in Secunda, Mpumalanga today. Lenacapavir is a twice-yearly long-acting injectable option for HIV prevention. Ramaphosa says the drug is just one more powerful tool in government's arsenal.
We aim to reach 3 million people. This is the intention that we have. This is our ambition. This is not simply a health target. It is a nation-building target. Every HIV infection prevented is a life protected.
And the World Health Organization and the African Union's Public Health Agency have launched a $518 million joint plan to tackle the Ebola outbreak. The outbreak was declared on the 15th of May in northeastern DRC. AFP is reporting that the plan will last from June to November. According to the WHO's latest figures, there have been 381 confirmed cases in the DRC, including 64 deaths. The current outbreak is bigger than the two previous recorded in 2007 and 2012. Gold is trading at $4,385.49 an ounce. The rand is at 16.40 to the dollar, 21.99 to the pound, 18.98 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $94.39 a barrel.
Doornkop traffic heavily backed up on the R558 at Cock Road between Main Street and Wild Chestnut Road. This is due to an earlier accident in Doornpoort. This is in the Pretoria area. There's a bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N4 westbound between Dr. Swanepoel and Bravery due to ongoing roadworks.
In your sports, new Liverpool head coach Andoni Iraola fully ready for the challenge of fighting for major titles. The latest from the French Open semi-final between Jakub Mensik and Alexander Zverev. And Siabelo Sinatla alongside Sasha Feinberg Mgomezulu to Mr. Stormer's URC semi-final against Leinster.
A fine Saturday in Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg drops to overnight lows of 2 degrees, peaking at 16. Pretoria 3 and 18, and Vereeniging 2 and 15 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: the Special Investigating Unit has seized a lavish Bentley belonging to Morgan Maumela, who has been linked to tender fraud at the Tembisa Hospital.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Joburg is more than just a city. It's an energy that connects us all.
That's what makes this one so special.
In 702, Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
702.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive on this somewhat chilly Friday, but what's chilly about a Friday when the weekend looms? Hope you've got a good one coming your way. Coming your way is some very interesting stuff that we're going to be covering. You've perhaps been hearing on the bulletins, and you heard just a moment ago from President Cyril Ramaphosa the importance of the availability now in South Africa of the injectable drug lenacapavir. It is aimed at preventing HIV/AIDS. The injections delivered twice a year. South Africa has a limited amount of the drug and a very targeted focus for it. So there's still many questions that are being asked. We'll explore those with Dr. Nomathemba Chandiwana. She's Chief Scientific Officer at the Desmond Tutu Health Foundation. We'll pick up those issues with her in 3 or 4 minutes' time. A little bit later in the show, Randall's One Song, Randall Abrams, joining us with something from the Rolling Stones, a rather quieter version of the Stones, I suppose, compared to the much noisier and rockier songs that they've done in the past. But he's picked a very interesting one. We're going to talk about that with Randall at 10 to 5. 20 to 6, staying with music, Loyiso Bala, musician, composer, is our guest on A Song, A Book and a Dish. And between that, we're going to take a closer look at all the actions that have been taken in the light of what's come out at the Madlanga Commission. I reckon roughly around 24 people have either appeared in court or been suspended Andy Mashaile is a security strategist. He's going to give us his take on what's been done so far. We've already heard the thoughts and a very clear setting out of who's been in the firing line, in the crosshairs, from Tabiso Goba, our EWN colleague. If you missed that, by the way, please do pick it up on primemediaplus.com. Tabiso with an excellent overview that I'm sure will help you a great deal in understanding what's going on. 702 Drive, we've also been asking you, speaking of driving, about your stories of that first week, maybe 2 weeks, but certainly the early days of you on the road without anyone next to you because you have just got your driver's license. Some of the stories we've heard already have been great. Let's hear a few more.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John and the team. So my first week of driving was so traumatic. So I drove, I got my car, I think on a Friday, and then I drove the car probably on the third day. I was driving into our driveway, and instead of stepping on the brakes, I stepped on the accelerator, and I crashed into the tree that's in front of our yard. Yeah, so it was really traumatic. My car ended up having to be towed away and repaired. But yeah, I'm not sure if I'm a better driver now because this was like 15 years ago. I'm not sure. I scratched my car last week, but yeah, a little bit better.
Hi, John. Great topic on the new drivers. I'm not a new driver, but I think there's one thing that's even harder than being a new driver. It's being a mom to a new driver, and I'm sure many of the listeners will relate to having a brand new driver in the house. My daughter got her license a couple of weeks ago, and it is like having your heart drive around outside of your body. Thank goodness for tracking apps that we can watch that they're okay and getting to where they are safely. And you know, there's always that sigh of relief when my daughter has passed an intersection that I know is a bit scary, where she's got to make a right turn. And just on a funny note, the first time she drove herself home from school a couple of weeks ago, she took a little bit longer. And when she got home, she told me it was because she didn't leave straight away because she was chatting. But in the meantime, I could tell her, actually, I was tracking you and I saw that turn that you missed. And I know that it's a turn that it's not so easy to undo because of one-ways in the area. So that was a little funny story that I bust her thanks to being able to stalk her on an app.
Yeah, this tracking thing, eh? I mean, that's a whole other topic. We'll get your thoughts on that. What do they ask you? Can they something your location or whatever? Sometimes when you sign up for various services, I always say no. I'm not sure why. It just doesn't seem to me like a particularly good idea. 14 minutes past 4. Let's get into the traffic and get you out of it as soon as we can.
EWN Traffic.
Karabo Charlie, a very good afternoon to you. How are we looking?
Well, at this stage, John, in Doornkop, that's in the Soweto area, traffic remains heavily backed up. This is on the R558 Adcock Road between Main Street and Wild Chestnut due to an earlier accident. In Alexandra, there's also traffic pressure heading towards Germiston. That's the N3 southbound between Marlborough Drive and the Gilulis interchange. While in Benoni, there's slow-moving traffic on Rangeview Road between Dube and Tom Jones. Midrand heading towards Pretoria, traffic sluggish N1 northbound from the Butlu interchange all the way to New Road and Doornpoort. And that's north of Pretoria, bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N4 westbound between Dr. Swanepoel and Bravery Road. That's due to ongoing roadworks in Centurion. There's also heavy delays that's heading towards Waterkloof, N1 northbound between John Foster and the R21 Flying Saucer interchange. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. in the last 24 hours. This is what's happened in your world.
Senior Hawks official in Durban, Gavin Jacobs, says he regrets the way he handled a major drug bust in the coastal city. In 2021, Jacob was in charge of an operation where police intercepted a shipping container carrying 541 kilograms of cocaine. In November of the same year, the confiscated consignment with an estimated street value of 200 million rand was stolen from the Hawks offices in Port Shepstone.
Jacob says at the time, he also thought there was no reason to call the local criminal record center to the scene as they were unlikely to find any useful evidence.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
What if the problem you face became the business that changed everything? That's what Nedbank Business Ignite on 702 is all about, with this year's theme, My Pain, My Purpose, My Solution. We're calling on small businesses that turned real challenges into powerful ideas. You know, you could win 200,000 Rand in cash, plus mentorship, business support, and tools to help you grow sustainably. Enter the Nedbank Business Ignite on 702, now at primemediaplus.com or igniteyourbusiness.co.za. See money differently. Nedbank, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Experience pure country allure as a VIP at this year's Hollywood Bets Durban July with Spina Zonke. Stand a chance to win VIP experiences or a share of 1.2 million Rand in cash. Get 2 Rand or more on selected slots to enter. This is your moment. Release your spirit, release your victory, release your glamour with Spina Zonke. Bet now.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
Mzansi, Take-A-Lot's senior cards, and boy have you been shopping. To say thank you for all your support, we're bringing you the Thanks A Lot sale. Get up to 60% off must-have beauty, sports gear, latest tech, TV and appliances, everyday essentials, toys and more. To know you is to spoil you. Shop the Take-A-Lot Thanks A Lot sale from 25 May to 7 June.
Clientele is here to safeguard you and your family with compassion because life happens. Be part of a family that truly cares. Our funeral dignity plans have helped South Africans bury their loved ones with dignity for more than 30 years. Let us help you create a meaningful tribute that honors your life and those of your loved ones. We pay out within 24 hours and you will get double accident cover with a clientele funeral plan. Our plans are affordable. Pick the option that suits your needs. It's easy to apply. No medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS funeral to 31586. That's 31586. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, let's focus on medical issues now, specifically on HIV/AIDS and the launch today for use in South Africa of a drug called lenacapavir. It comes in you need to have it injected in you twice a year, and this acts as a preventive drug. For HIV/AIDS, up to now, we have focused our attention on antiretrovirals that can deal with the impact on people who are already infected. It's a massive opportunity, but as with all of these things, there are some questions around it as well. And to explore these, we're joined now by Dr. Nomathemba Chandiwana. She is Chief Scientific Officer at the Desmond Tutu Health Foundation. Dr. Chandiwana, welcome and thanks very much for giving us your time. South Africa, as I understand it, roughly 170,000 new HIV/AIDS infections a year. Is this a game changer, and if so, at what scale?
Good afternoon, John, to you and your listeners. Always glad to be back on the show, especially for this important matter. For those that may not know, HIV is a big issue in South Africa. I think we all know this. But HIV prevention, we have had so many things in our toolbox. And the drug that you're talking about, called lenacapavir, as you said rightly, it's injected twice a year. And in clinical trials, it had almost no HIV infections. So this is indeed a game changer for South Africa. And let me tell you why. What we have currently is either an oral pill that you take every day and other things such as condoms, which we know are not very popular, and other ways of preventing HIV, such as the vaginal ring. We haven't had great uptake. So now we have something that you can use twice a year. Hopefully, it's available at some facilities, admittedly, not as much as we should have, but it is indeed a game changer. With enough doses, in a few years, we're hoping to see there be a reduction in HIV cases in South Africa.
So let's talk about those doses. As I understand it, just shy of 38,000 doses. Clearly, the need is greater than that. We're accessing these through the Global Fund, as I understand it, the Global Fund to fight AIDS, TB, and malaria. What's your view on the discussions and debates around the possibility of generics? And there are some NGOs, for example, making the point that South Africa has actually contributed to the development of this drug. We've been at the front line of a lot of research and so on, that the move to more access at a better price should be coming much quicker.
Yeah, so you bring up a few important points. So let me break it down by starting with your first point around are the doses enough. So what has come through is very little. And across the 360 facilities, across 6 provinces that have been chosen in the first phase of the rollout, we'll be expecting some more doses at the beginning, end of this month and going on. But this is the initial phase. And initially, supply is very small and will not meet demand. But that we hope is to soon change, because this is what's coming through the Global Fund mechanism. We've got organizations, my organization, for example, we are contributing an additional 20,000 doses to the Western Cape.
Okay.
But again, not enough. We need a lot more because South Africa has got the largest HIV program in the world.
Yes, please carry on. You said there were a couple of points and you're taking them one at a time. Don't let me stop you.
I was just pausing, in case you wanted to interject or ask something. The second thing is that a lot of these trials were done in Africa, specifically in South Africa. These were the Purpose 1 and 2 trials that showed that this drug does work. So the supply issue, I think it's a big one that we've had. We had the same issues during COVID, where some of the clinical trials were done here and the drugs were not available. South Africa was not at the front of the queue. I mean, that's a big discussion around equity and access, and one that we take very seriously as South African researchers and government people. But we do have some hope. Generics are coming into the market. So towards the beginning of next year, we'll have more options of these drugs in the market, and hopefully at a more affordable price.
I want to ask you, I suppose, almost a philosophical question, but in fact, it's really a public health question. It's wonderful, given how devastating the impact on South Africa, individuals, families, communities, our health services, the impact of HIV/AIDS has been. There have been concerns expressed, though, that if there is a preventive option like this one, the other important messages about consideration for your sexual partners, about being careful and so on, are, all the effort put into that is really going to get swept away because people say, look, I'm having my shot. After that, I'm fine. And anyone who comes into contact with me in an intimate way is fine as well. I get that one would never turn down an option like this, but is there a downside?
No, to answer, I mean, we've been through this, with other things,
right,
condoms and so forth, sex education. And to answer your question simply is no.
Mm-hmm.
People who live their lives in ways, all of us, right, in ways that we can get HIV or not get HIV, are people living ordinary lives.
Mm-hmm.
And prevention and protection may be number 9, 10 down on your list of priorities. So what we need to do is to make these options easy for people, right? Instead of coming to a facility, seeing your doctor 12 times a year, you're seeing a healthcare provider twice a year. So imagine how that is for that college student at WITS, or that person who works in Cape Town, etc. It makes it a lot easier, right? Because I think medicalizing and moralizing is one of the things that we cannot use stigma, right, and shame and fear to stop people from getting the help that they need. But with that, right, with all prevention, it's not given as is. We always give it as part of combination prevention. So we want to talk about what contraception are you taking? How do we prevent STIs? So this is never given in isolation without other sexual reproductive health, counseling, and support.
I want to just come back to the very basics with you, Dr. Chandawana, and make sure I've understood it. Twice a year, is that every year? In other words, this doesn't have the long-term benefits, for example, of a polio shot?
No. So what it is, it's a big dose of something that stays in your system and keeps you covered for 6 months, right? So that oral pill gives you 24-hour protection. This will give you 6-month protection. So we would want to have people as protected as long as possible.
Yeah. And in terms of the way in which the rollout needs to work, if I get my first shot sometime in July and I'm back again in the second week of February, and I've had my 1-year cycle of lenacapavir, do I go into a database that automatically puts me at the front of the queue for a second round? I mean, given the scarcity at the moment, the shortage of the drugs, does prioritizing of recipients take into account who's already had? Because if it's got to be repeated as often as you've just explained, I would have thought the queues in some ways get longer the more successful you are in rolling it out.
Yes, they do, right? And also giving options means the pie gets bigger, right? Instead of offering you vanilla or chocolate, by giving you another option, more people are likely to use PrEP, right? Which is prophylaxis, as we're talking about. But how this will be done and how do we prioritize? So we've got what we call key and priority populations when it comes to HIV prevention. So this would be young women and adolescent girls. It would be men who have sex with men, female sex workers, pregnant and lactating women. So as well as some transgender populations. So this is what we know from data are populations that are more likely to get HIV. But it doesn't mean that this will only be limited to those populations, but I'm talking about it from the data that we have. But how this will be done, and this is why we have to do this rollout carefully. We do not have as many doses, so we want to make sure if you come to Clinic A in January, that in June or July, that we're able to, one, trace you, bring you back into care, and make sure you get your second dose and so forth, and keep you into the system. And this is where researchers and others such as myself is that you need a strong healthcare system, right? It's not only the drugs that work. So we have to do it in different ways. So maybe not only at a clinic. We might want to do it in the community in different ways where people are. So those are the questions that we do need to also answer on top of having this game changer of a drug.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nomathemba Chandiwana, Chief Scientific Officer at the Desmond Tutu Health Foundation. 702 Drive, 29 minutes past 4. Let's see what the markets are doing.
EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis, interesting things happening today. I saw a big bang for Mr. Price. I saw a reasonable gain for the all share. Over to you.
John, good afternoon. Yeah, massive bang actually for Mr. Price. So the JSE all share up down 0.91%, 111,435 points. More concern about oil prices. Financials are up 0.22, industrials are up 1.04, but resources are down nearly 4%. I mean, platinum is down nearly 3% in price, gold down 2.25%, and that's what's really pushed those down. But the real things that you're interested in, John, Mr. Price up 15% today. They reported headline earnings per share up 8% in the year to the end of March. Its retail sales were up 4.3%, higher than the rest of the market. So group retail sales were up 4.3%, while comparable store sales were only up 1.1%. It increased its trading stores 3.6%. It increased its trading by 3.6%. Online sales are also up in the group, but the group says South African customers do prefer in-store shopping. So really strong results from them. And also, of course, this is a management and a share price that's been under fire since their acquisition of that European group NKD. And so it's given that share a little bit of room to move. The Foschini Group up 4.5% as well today. Their headline earnings per share were down 33.5% for the year to the end of March. Their second half was much weaker than its first. There had been a warning about this. The group online sales were up nearly a third. Their gross profit was up 4.5%. They say subdued sentiment in the UK is having a big impact on their sales there. We don't talk about it much, but people in Britain are miserable. I mean, that's always been the case, but particularly at the moment. And then there's obviously a bit of a lack of confidence here because of the economic situation, which is also really about oil prices. Canal Plus up 5.4%. That's a strong move. Sasol up 4.5% as well on stronger oil prices. Pepco, so competition, of course, for clothing. They're up 4.14%. And Truworths is up 2.57%. British American Tobacco, that share you buy when you don't really know what's going to happen, they're up 2.75%. But Platinum Miners down very strongly. Implats, Valterra, Northam, Sibanye, all of them down by way over 5%. Harmony's down 4.49%. The gold shares are down kind of between 3 and 4% on the day as well. In the US, there was a stronger than expected jobs report. So that suggests then that non-farm payrolls, as they call them, rose by 172,000 jobs in May. Now, that was higher than the 85,000 forecast by a Reuters survey of economists. So it's much higher. But it also means that there's likely to be a hawkish monetary policy. In other words, there won't be an interest rate cut, and that's had a bit of an impact on indices today. The Dow Jones is down 0.16. The Nasdaq is down 1.86. The S&P 500 is down over 1%. John, they've broken records there this week. So a little bit of a sort of, not quite a correction, but a kind of, let's just have a breath and think about it, was probably in order. The gold price, $4,374.68. Platinum, $1,845.67. Brent crude, $93.94. And the rand to the dollar, 16.44. So a lot weaker today, John. To the euro, 19. To the British pound, 22 exactly, actually. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. Let's get the latest eyewitness news now with Mbali Dlamini. Lots of things happening. Mbali, good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. While the state says it will oppose the release on bail of the 3 foreign nationals accused of smuggling drugs into South Africa, the accused face up to 30 years direct imprisonment if convicted due to the severity of the charges. The trio was intercepted at the Bait Bridge border post last week while allegedly transporting drugs with an estimated value of 34 million rand. The drugs were allegedly hidden in a specifically created steel compartment inside a truck. Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions in Limpopo, Advocate Mashudu Mudau, is expected to argue that their status in South Africa with visitors' permits makes them a flight risk.
The accused unlawfully acquired property in this regard drugs, well knowing that the said property is proceeds of a different crime, which is drugs in contravention of the Act. Penalty clause for this contravention is 15 years imprisonment or a fine.
Following the first reported death as a result of the latest storms in the Western Cape, rescue teams have been dispatched to another incident in Oudtshoorn. The Garden Route District Municipality says while isolated heavy showers continued overnight, a major concern remains the significant volume of water moving into the region from the northern areas. The Gamkepoort Dam is currently spilling at around 170%, while other dams are also currently overflowing. Zulfa Khan has more.
Police and emergency services are actively monitoring river crossings, and despite warnings, a man and woman still attempted to cross the Klip River at Waboomskraal late yesterday. They were swept away, and while the woman was rescued, the man's body has today been recovered following an extensive search. Rescuers are today also responding to a similar incident in the Oudtshoorn Mountain Resort area, where a man has reportedly been swept away while attempting to cross a river. Meanwhile, relief operations are continuing in several Garden Route communities, as the municipality's Herman Peters explains.
Requests for humanitarian assistance have been received from Zawar, Voorbaat, and Vlakteplaas, Barandas, and Snyberg areas.
Affected communities are being accommodated at several community halls across the district, while 21 schools remain inaccessible due to poor road conditions. Zulfa Khan, Eyewitness News.
And in northern Niger, at least 49 people have died of thirst in a remote part of the Sahara Desert. According to the BBC, the group died after the truck they were travelling in from Mali broke down. They were travelling home from a Muslim festival when they ran out of water. For several days, the driver and passengers made repeated attempts to repair the vehicle but failed. Only 2 people survived and managed to trek across the desert to Asamaka, where they alerted authorities. The victims were buried in mass graves by the rescue teams that were dispatched to the area by local authorities. A fine Saturday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Lows of between 2 and 3 degrees and highs of between 15 and 18.
Traffic pressure heading towards Germiston. That's in the LX area on the N3 south from Marlborough to the Gilulis interchange. In Benoni, we still have slow-moving traffic on Rangeview Road between Dube and Tom Jones. And in Midrand heading towards Centurion, there's slow-moving traffic. N1 northbound from the Precludes change to New Road.
The top story in EWN. The state says it will oppose the release on bail of the 3 foreign nationals accused of smuggling drugs into South Africa.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
A major step in fighting HIV infections in South Africa. A new injectable drug called lenacapavir being officially launched. Let's understand more about this with Mia Milan, who's the editor-in-chief at Becky Cisa.
So what makes it revolutionary and the reason why scientists are so excited about it is because it only has to be taken once every 6 months. So we've had other medicine, a daily pill that you can take to prevent yourself from getting HIV, and people often forget to take it or it doesn't fit their lifestyles. So the reason they are so excited now is because they feel it is kind of medicine that's easy to adhere to because you only have to take it once every 6 months.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
The groundbreaking musical Nkodi, A Fierce and Fabulous Life returns to the UJ Theatre on the Kingsway campus in Auckland Park next weekend. Nkodi celebrates the life of Simon Nkodi, who was an anti-apartheid activist, LGBTQIA plus pioneer, AIDS activist, and organizer of Joburg's first Pride March. Nkodi explodes on the stage, combining voguing, dance, rap, and video projections. It is the powerful story of a remarkable young freedom fighter who changed South African history. There are 3 performances only next weekend of Nkodi at UJ Theatre before it heads to Germany for its European premiere. Nkodi tickets are available now on Quicket.
Johannesburg Water has completed the new Brixton Reservoir, water tower and pump station, strengthening water supply across the city. The upgrade improves storage capacity, system stability and distribution reliability. Areas benefiting include Brixton, Crosby, Hurst Hill, Sophiatown, Coronationville, Westbury, Auckland Park and Mayfair, along with major institutions like Rahima Musa Hospital, Helen Joseph Hospital and the University of Johannesburg. This forms part of Johannesburg Water's ongoing investment in resilient infrastructure. Brought to you by Johannesburg Water.
When choosing a university, facts matter. WITS is ranked #1 in Africa in the 2026 Center for World University Rankings out of more than 21,000 universities worldwide. This ranking uses objective data to assess universities on the academic and employment success of alumni, research quality and impact, as well as major distinctions and awards. No spin, no surveys, no perceptions, just facts. WITS has earned its place in the ranking that matters. WITS, for good. wits.ac.za.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, John. This is Sami. Just on what your guest has said from the Desmond Tutu Foundation, they say that they prioritize pregnant women, teenage girls, and women, and men who have sex with other men. And that's where it's already been an issue with me. Who are they exactly referring to when they say men who have sex with other men? Are they referring to homosexual men? Because you'll never hear anybody saying women who have sex with other women. So who exactly are they referring to when they say men who have sex with other men? Because I can damn guarantee you that heterosexual men do not have sex with other men. That doesn't happen. Unless we are referring to a situation of maybe, in fact, it's just not, it's not been scientifically proven of heterosexual men having sex with other men. So whom are they referring to when they say men who have sex with other men? Good afternoon, John.
Good afternoon, John, and the listeners. It took me over 13 years to get a driver's license. I remember my first test was in 1997, and I finally had it in 2011. And all because I wouldn't pay the fee, the extra wink fee that we have to pay. But as soon as I had it in June 2011, and within 3 months I had my dream job, because all along I had been trying to apply for jobs, and the stumbling block would be the driver's license. So yeah, I was so happy when I had it, and I was even more thrilled when I finally had the job that aligned with what I studied for and what was my career aspiration then. Tandanani Boxberg.
Hi, good afternoon, John. Sorry, it's Baron here from Alexander. Look, my story when I first get my driver's license is as follows. My boss was driving. I was excited. I showed my boss that I do have a driver's license. And after, while he was driving, John, he get some fits. While driving, I managed to pull out the handbrake. I managed just to swerve the car, not to bump other vehicles. I get into the car. Now I'm driving someone who's having fits, not being a perfect driver, rushing to hospital. It was a nightmare. May his soul rest in peace. Unfortunately, my boss was gone. But yeah, it was a nightmare, John. Baron here from Alexander.
Yeah, quite a story there, my goodness. Early days behind the wheel. And the person who sent us that voice note joins us on the line. Good afternoon to you. How are you doing?
All right, how are you, John?
Yeah, doing well, thank you. Quite an introduction to life on the road. I hope your driving experience has got better.
Much better, but geez, that time it was so bad because I didn't know what to do. Yeah.
Well, listen, times have been really tough, Baron, and thank you so much for sharing that story with us. We have something that will make your day and make your weekend. We, throughout the week, courtesy of My Way, have been giving away fuel vouchers worth 5,000 Rand. We think after what you went through in the first week as a driver, you deserve one. Thanks for such an interesting voice note that you shared with us. And we do this courtesy of My Way. Hope you have a wonderful weekend and hope that 5,000 Rand makes things a little bit easier. My Way, live your way. It's 16 minutes to 5.
EWN Sport.
Okay, let's catch up with the tennis. Let's look ahead to the football and the rugby. Here's Tola Kele.
Thanks so much, John. And Banyana return to action tomorrow as they take on Japan in the first of two international friendlies. Tembi Kgatlana's back in the fold, having recovered from injury, which saw her miss the games against Algeria. And she's discussed the importance of tomorrow's encounter.
Yeah, I mean, there are things that we are working towards in preparation for WAFCON. And I think it was important for us to play a highly ranked team like Japan so that we can prepare mentally, emotionally, physically as well, and also tactically, because they come in as a highly ranked team. So it also means that we also have to see what we can get out of this game so that we can be able to arrive in WAFCON in better conditions.
Benfica have told Real Madrid they'll have to pay Jose Mourinho's €15 million release clause if they want to appoint the coach, who still has one more year left on his contract. Ahead of this weekend's presidential elections, the incumbent Florentino Perez has vowed to bring back Mourinho to the Bernabeu 13 years after he left the club in 2013. At the same time, the Portuguese coach has filed a complaint at the European Court of Human Rights that's over disciplinary sanctions he received while coaching Fenerbahce. Mourinho's complaint is based on his right to freedom of expression. That's after he was handed a one-match ban and fined 900,000 Turkish lira for questioning the impartiality of referees and other match officials. Switching over to the United Rugby Championship, where the Bulls' rivalry against Glasgow Warriors will be reignited. That's when they clash in the first semi-final tomorrow. The Pretoria side come into the encounter having won 7 games in a row and are the league's leaders for tries and points scored. However, it's Nigel Caroline's Chargers who have form on their side, having won 4 of the 7 meetings between the two franchises.
Plan A, when you play the Bulls, it's a man test, and there's no shirking that either. It's if you don't match that, you're in trouble. They bring in a tremendous amount of physicality, but for us, I mean, what we've seen over the last 2 occasions, we've played them here, albeit at Scotstoun, but I think we've come up. We've definitely matched them in that department, and then it allows us to play the game that we know we can, and that's where we score our tries.
At Roland Garros, Alexander Zverev is 2 sets up against Jakub Mensik in the first men's semi-final, and an update from the third sees Mensik leading 3-2. After this showdown, Matteo Arnaldi and Flavio Caboli will take to centre court to face off for a place in the final. Tholakele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Right, let's get you out onto the roads and give you the very latest news on how vehicles are moving or not. Karabo Charlie, where are we right now at 13 minutes to 5?
Sure, John, let me start in the city of Tshwane. Durenport, you can expect about a 30-minute delay. N4 westbound between Dr. Swanepoel and Bravery due to ongoing roadworks in Centurion. There's also traffic is also heavily backed up on the N1 northbound between John Foster and the R21 Flying Saucer interchange. Irene, traffic remains sluggish on Nelmapius Drive approaching Main Road, driving through Alexandra. Expect more than a 30-minute delay on the N3 southbound from the Butlu interchange to Van Buren. Midrand, still slow-moving traffic on the N1 northbound between the Butlu interchange and New Road. And finally, if you're heading towards Four Ways, there's slow-moving traffic in Bryanston on the N1 south between Rivonia Road and Winnie Mandela Drive. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
12 minutes to 5 on 702 Drive. Now, I bet you guys remember this song, and as you hear this song, I'm sure it stirs up images from a really terrific commercial. It was for Volkswagen vehicles at the time. Take a listen. I'll tell you who the singer is, but more importantly, I'll tell you what it made me think of.
I remember the days of my life. I recall the faces, mostly yours. Magic moments, life was a mystery. There's no place on earth that we'd rather be. Moving up.
Yeah, great song, actually. I didn't even know who wrote it and who performed it. Kabazela dug out the details. Song called Memories, appropriately, really. Cape Town musician Andre de Villiers, who actually performed it, the late Andre de Villiers, sadly. But what it got me thinking about is we all look back on our lives in different ways, different periods and so on. And I wonder, is there a time of your life where you think, those were the best years of my life? Now, those may still be ahead of you. And by the way, it's not like a one-stop shop where you have to say, oh, okay, I said my 20s were the best years of my life, so I can't say that about my 50s. I know, still to come for my colleagues here. You are allowed to replace one set of best years of your life with another should things change. But Tolakele, is there a period of your life that you would say, those were the best years of my life? And by the way, I'm asking the same question of everybody listening. They can drop us a note on that on 072 702 1702. You don't have to use that number because you're right here.
Definitely last year. It was my favorite year so far that I've
Okay.
lived. I did so much traveling. I experienced so many things that were always on my bucket list. And for once, I didn't have to experience so many of those things by myself. I had someone there that I was going on trips with. I'm kind of going, let's try this. And we were doing it together. So last year was definitely top one. And
Okay.
I wish I could go back.
Oh, okay. But did it leave you with plenty of fuel in the tank
Yes,
for this year and next?
It reminded me that all my dreams are valid. And in fact, I need to dream even bigger. Because once I hit that first one, I just kept on going.
Brilliant stuff. Karabo Charlie, have you had the best years of your life? That doesn't mean it's downhill from here, by the way, because that's not what we're not going there at all. But
yeah, early 20s, first job, getting paid and being independent, being spontaneous. I remember I would just wake up maybe and say, next week it's a long weekend. How about I just do a short left and go to Cape Town, or it's the Grahamstown Arts Festival. I just want to go there for the whole 2 weeks all by myself and just indulge in the arts. So, you just all those random things you did as a young person, you didn't have to worry about much bills because you were still living with mommy and daddy. And
I remember before he became a dad, Pirates and Chiefs were playing a game.
Yes.
I don't know which final was it. Was it
was the MTN.
The MTN.
Yes.
Listen, John, the tickets dropped 12 o'clock midday. Karabo didn't have any way to get to Durban. He bought the tickets when me and Vumani Mkize, who worked at EWN, we got to Durban and he was like, "Where are you guys?" And we're like, "When did you get here?" He's like, "I don't know, guys. I'm just here to have a fun time."
So I just have to tell you this because you're still heading in the direction I've already that I've already reached. I would say the best years of my life have been the last 7, 8, 9, 10. So trust me, you have loads to look forward to. There is no decline out there. Well, there may be, of course, there'll be setbacks, there'll be ups and downs, but yeah, been very, very content and happy and stimulated over the last good while. So tell us the best years of your life. When were they and why? And if they're still coming, tell us what it is you're most looking forward to. 072 702 1702, 8 minutes to 5.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Well, of course, one way of mapping your journey through life is to play music. And we often, as we do at the end of the show, Monday to Thursday, think of themes that do stir up memories. But because it's Friday, we do that with Randall Abrams. Randall's one song, a regular feature that we all look forward to, and I'm sure you do as well. Randall, a very good afternoon to you. Rolling Stones today. They've written, I don't know if anyone's counted how many songs, but you're picking one out from the early 1980s. Looking forward to hearing about it from you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. The reason that I chose it is because, sadly, possibly the greatest improviser in jazz, and Sonny Rollins would never say that he played jazz. He said that it was a term that, his music was much wider than that, much broader than that. And he was always pushing in various directions, but he passed away at 95 on May the 25th, which, by the way, is just a day out from what would have been the 100th birthday of Miles Davis.
Okay.
And that's why I chose the Rolling Stone track, because Waiting on a Friend was the instrumental was originally written for Goat's Head Soup in 1973, and then Jagger added lyrics for the 1981 album Tattoo You, and they expressly went to seek out Sonny Rollins in order to feature him on the song. And if you ever, want to listen to, and as I say, I'm going to call it improvisational music rather than jazz, then two albums you have to listen to are Saxophone Colossus and Way Out West by Sonny. There are obviously loads of other great albums he made, Our Man in Jazz, The Bridge, some of his 1980s and 1990s records, which a lot of people said, well, why are there guitars and why is there backbeat? And he said, well, because I'm always looking to do something different. He in his earliest days, from the early 50s on, he in fact stopped using a pianist because he didn't like chords. He said that they set down the music in a certain way that he then had to follow. And he also said that pianists played too much. So some of his greatest records are just drums, bass, and himself playing saxophone. But a marvelous solo on this particular song.
Well, let's have a listen to it and get straight into it, and then we'll talk a little bit about the Rolling Stones as well. Sonny Rollins features on this Rolling Stones track from 1981. It's called Waiting on a Friend. Sonny Rollins on saxophone. I mean, looking at the Rolling Stones, Randall, as we continue to hear the music in the background, my understanding is they were always looking to connect with blues, they recorded Goat's Head Soup, for example, in Kingston in Jamaica in the early 70s. A huge reverence for the music produced by black musicians. Is that a feature and perhaps underestimated in what the Rolling Stones have produced?
So certainly, I mean, if you just look at 1971, they recorded at Muscle Shoals in Alabama. Mm-hmm. Also, trying to get that kind of southern bluesy, country blues sound. The record certainly from 68 through to 70. So definitely, yes. I mean, they were always, as I say, very, very influenced by that sound, and they were always, very open about the fact that, the early blues musicians were what they had listened to, Muddy Waters. I mean, that's where they got their name. But then they've always, as I say, moved on. Keith, certainly, very inspired by Jamaican music.
Thank you so much, Randall Abrams, joining us for Randall's One Song.
702 Afternoons.
With Relebohile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
What is the greatest lesson you've learned about failure? Don't let it stop you from pursuing your dreams. And fail often, so it's not a slam in the gut. It's a signpost. That way doesn't work. Try that way. Change your relationship with the word failure. I'm a fan. I love you to bits. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Well, seriously.
702 Afternoons.
With Relebogile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
Mzansi Ballet proudly presents Heal the World, an inspiring new ballet set to the iconic music of global legend Michael Jackson. Choreographed by South African prima ballerina and award-winning choreographer Angela Revi in collaboration with renowned Mexican guest dancer and choreographer Georges Wade, this powerful production celebrates dance as a force for connection, healing and transformation. It tells a deeply human and emotionally charged story of resilience and self-discovery. Heal the World runs from 13 May to 7 June at the Peter Turin Theatre at Monte Cassino. Get your tickets now through web tickets.
As winter settles across South Africa, more families are struggling to maintain food security. Rising fuel costs and high food prices are placing enormous pressure on vulnerable households. Food Forward SA needs your help. Every contribution you make helps provide meals to communities facing hunger and hardship this winter. At just 47 cents a meal, your 50 Rand donation can provide 100 meals. Visit foodforwardsa.org, click donate, and make your contribution today.
You are not dreaming. You are repeating. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
This is EWN.
The SIU seizes the assets of alleged Tembisa Hospital fraudster, and the Health Ministry allays fears over limited lenacapavir supply. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. The Special Investigating Unit has seized a lavish Bentley belonging to Morgan Maumela, who has been linked to tender fraud at Tembisa Hospital. The SIU has secured 2 orders from the Special Tribunal, with the first giving it the green light to seize the 3 million rand vehicle. The second order is for contempt of court against Omar's Motor Den for allegedly selling the car despite being ordered not to. Alfara Mashwana reports.
The Special Investigating Unit is currently raiding the Omar Motor Den dealership in Emalahleni, seeking to take the 3 million rand Bentley belonging to alleged tender fraudster Morgan Maumela. The SIU believes there was an exchange of money for the vehicle, which could imply that there were attempts to sell it. While there was never a physical movement of the car, SIU spokesperson Selby Mahato says the dealership attempted to sell it.
The selling and transfer of the vehicle is a clear breach of the undertaking that the dealership made on the 9th of October 2025, where they stated that Omar intended in good faith to cooperate with any investigation in respect of any vehicles that concern the respondents.
The owner of the dealership has now been arrested for contempt of court. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
Minister in the Presidency, Khumbudzo Ntshabeni, says Cabinet has approved a comprehensive action plan on migration that will be communicated by the President. Ntshabeni says the migration plan is part of government's response to the illegal immigration crisis currently facing the country. But Ntshabeni told a post-Cabinet briefing earlier that the planned shutdown at the end of the month won't be tolerated by government. Babalondenze reports.
The new migration plan comes as hundreds of foreign nationals flee the country due to growing fears of violence and a planned shutdown by anti-immigration groups like March and March. Ntshabeni also issued a stern warning to those who take the law into their own hands. She says President Cyril Ramaphosa will be providing direction soon on the country's response to the migration crisis.
Cabinet received and approved a comprehensive approach to managing migration in South Africa, developed by the Interministerial Committee on Migration, and approved the National Action Plan, which is called NEP, a country report on migration in South Africa. The president will address the nation on this matter, so the details will be provided by the president.
But Nchabeni has refused to share information about who the government has identified as being behind the protests. She says Ramaphosa's announcement will be communicated soon. Baba Londenza, Eyewitness News.
Activist Nkosikhona Ndabandaba has blamed opportunists for the violence and looting during his anti-illegal immigration marches. Popularly known as Phakelumthakathi, Ndabandaba has recently gained media attention for leading well-attended marches across the country. While some of the marches have been mostly peaceful, there has been sporadic incidents of violence. Ndabandaba recently sat down for an interview with EWN. Thabiso Koba reports.
Agitator or activist Nkosikhona Ndabandaba says he's just a concerned South African. For over the past couple of months, Ndabandaba has captured the country's attention. Dressed in Zulu cultural garb, he's led massive marches across the country in what he calls a bid to bring attention to the problem of illegal immigration in South Africa. However, elements of looting have now crept into the movement, more recently in Escorts and Durban.
I've never been part of any march that has done looting. I have led biggest crowds in South Africa. Nobody has led biggest crowds as I do alone, but there's been no looting. These are opportunists who uses these marches when we are not there and they start looting. And police must deal with those people because they are not part of us.
Ndabandaba himself has also been captured on video slapping an adult man during one of his marches.
No, it's not me, it's AI.
This is you. It's a real video.
No,
this is you.
That is AI.
This is you.
That is AI.
EWN has verified the video as authentic. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
The Health Ministry has allayed fears over the country's limited supply of the new HIV prevention injection, lenacapavir. South Africa has so far secured just under 900,000 doses, enough to provide about 400,000 people with the twice-yearly shot. But Minister Aaron Motsoaledi says government is already working to secure licensing agreements that could open the door to cheaper generic versions and wider access. Mongezi Koko reports.
The long-acting injection was officially launched by President Cyril Ramaphosa in Secunda today. The available stock means about 400,000 people will be able to receive the breakthrough drug, which is administered every 6 months. Motsoaledi says government is moving to secure a license for lenacapavir and will invite companies to bid to produce generic versions.
So yesterday I phoned SAPRA and they said they've received all the documents. It will take them about 6 months to go through them. After 6 months, if they approve them, the generic. Well, Mr. President, that is science, it's not me.
He believes this will help reduce costs and expand access to what many experts have described as a game changer in HIV prevention. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News.
And the World Health Organization and the African Union's Public Health Agency have launched a $518 million joint plan to tackle the Ebola outbreak. The outbreak was declared on the 15th of May in northeastern DRC. AFP is reporting that the plan will be from June to November this year. According to the WHO's latest figures, there have been 381 confirmed cases in the DRC, including 64 deaths. The current outbreak is bigger than the two previous ones recorded in 2007 and 2012. Well, gold is trading at $4,355.02 an ounce. The rand is at 16.46 to the dollar, 22.03 to the pound, 19.02 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $94.39 a barrel.
In 4 ways heading towards Deep Sloot, you can expect about a 20-minute delay on Winnie Mandela Drive between the N1 and Uranium. And in Lone Hill, there's also about a 30-minute delay on Lone Hill Boulevard between Winnie Mandela Drive and Main Road.
In your sport, Banyana fine-tuned their WAFCON preparations with a friendly against Japan. Declan Rice among the nominees for the PFA's Men's Player of the Year award. And Charles Leclerc leads Lewis Hamilton in a Ferrari 1-2 in the first practice session at the Monaco Grand Prix.
A fine Saturday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg drops to overnight lows of 2 degrees, peaking at 16. Pretoria 3 and 18, and Vereeniging 2 and 15 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: the Special Investigating Unit has seized a lavish Bentley belonging to Hangwani Maumela, who has been linked to tender fraud at the Tembisa Hospital.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
On Sunday, 26 July, 7:02 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk unites us all in the iconic Joburg CBD.
7:02
Walk the Talk. Abize bonke. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
on 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive, it's good to have you with us. 10 minutes past 5 as we get closer to the weekend and closer, it would seem, to cold weather. Apparently it's going to be tonight the coldest day we've had so far this year. Anyway, hopefully you've got some things to warm you up over the weekend, special occasions, as I always say, on a Friday, something you're celebrating or simply just looking forward to. We had someone, I think it was 2 weeks ago, they were taking place in a party in a high-level paintball competition. No, they were practicing in anticipation of a competition. No celebration too big or too small for you to share with us, and we'll wish you well if we possibly can squeeze that into the show. In the next half an hour, we're going to be focusing our attention on fallout from the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. 9 SAPS, South African Police Service members, have been suspended. This after they were involved in an allocation committee, a tender adjudication committee, perhaps a more precise term for that, that was involved in giving an extremely lucrative contract to Usimuzi Matlala. The questions I'm keen to understand a little bit better: suspensions, somebody's just been dismissed, that is Major General Richard Shibiri, who's a senior person or has been a senior person in the organized crime setup, organized crime prevention setup, I suppose we should say, although sometimes people feel that the Madlanga Commission is blurring the lines. But yeah, involved in organized crime prevention. He's been dismissed. So do all these internal actions actually bite, or does the rubber only really hit the road when it hits the road outside a courthouse? Some would say it only really hits the road when it hits the road outside a jail. But you've got to go to court first and make sure that everybody who is accused of things is actually guilty of them. We will, though, talk to Andy Mashayile, security strategist, get his views on what's happened so far. It would seem to me, at least, that the pace of action flowing out of the Madlanga Commission has been significantly swifter and more intense than, for example, out of the Zondo Commission and some would say out of the Farlam Commission. Both of them really important moments in South Africa's focus on the police in specific and corruption in general. 12 minutes past 5, we did ask you to tell us about the best days of your life. Which were those, or are they still coming? And some of you have responded to the conversation we had with Dr. Nomathemba Chandiwana from the Desmond Tutu Health Foundation in regards to the introduction of the drug lenacapavir. Let's hear a few of your thoughts.
702. WhatsApp John
On 072
702
1702.
Hi, John. Just to clear something up, and I've heard this as a recurring theme throughout the shows on 702 today. Lenacapavir is not a vaccine for HIV. So if you take the shot, it doesn't provide you with lifelong immunity. It's a preventative medication. So it's a bit like antimalarials. You take antimalarials when you go to a malaria area, and it prevents you getting malaria for the duration that you are on the antimalarial. If you stop the antimalarial, you get malaria. And lenacapavir is no different. You take the medication when you are at risk of contracting HIV. If you stop taking the medication, your risk of getting HIV is back. It will not prevent it indefinitely.
Hey, John, best days of my life. In terms of my waistline and how much I weigh, definitely 20s, 30s, 40s, hit 50, and that goes kind of away. Oh, maybe I could blame COVID-19 on that. And currently, mentally, the best days of my life are now. I know who I am, I know what I want and don't want, and I'm genuinely, consciously happy. Thank you, John.
Yeah, best days of other people's lives. Nikki said 1984 to 1985, my best 11 years at Gilby's. We worked hard and played hard and did many wonderful events. And Joy says 2014 was brilliant. Joy Lean, actually. I finally broke free from an abusive in every sense marriage with 2 kids and nowhere to start, but God made everything work out for good. Just on Lena Kapavir, I do think Dr. Chandiwana really was very precise and clear about that. Yes, you're probably right. I don't know if you call it a vaccine. I'm not sure of the medical terms, but very clear that this gives you 6 months prevention and you need to have the injection every 6 months. I think the analogy with anti-malarials, for example, is probably right, except with those, of course, you take them every day for a period of time until you out of a malaria area. Anyone else who wants to offer clarifying comments on that and what exactly we should use by way of terminology, we are open to your suggestions. 072 702 1702. It's 5:15.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. And you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Karabo Chali is your man, as he always is, looking out for you as you make your way through the traffic. And if you're heading towards or already in four-ways, there's some things you need to know. Karabo.
Yeah, that's heading towards the Deep Sloot area. You can expect more than a 20-minute delay in four-ways. This is on Winnie Mandela Drive from the N1 to Uranium due to an earlier accident. As a result, there's also about a 30-minute delay. That's in Lone Hill. On Lone Hill Boulevard between Winnie Mandela Drive and Main Road in Nooit Gesig. Traveling into Soweto, there's slow-moving traffic on the N17 westbound from the N1 to the Soweto Highway. Also driving through Alex heading towards Germiston. You can still expect more than a 30-minute delay. N3 south from the Between Interchange to Van Buren. In the city of Tshwane, Doornpoort, that's north of Pretoria. Expect about a 30-minute delay. This is on the N4 westbound between Dr. Swanepoel and Bravery Road due to roadworks. Centurion traveling towards Waterkloof, traffic congested. N1 north from John Foster to the R21 Flying Saucer interchange. And finally in Irene, there's traffic pressure on Nalmapius Drive approaching Main Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Things people stress about in traffic. Number 48. Did I upload the updated version of the presentation? Oh, the anxiety. Well, with the Outsurance Pointsman on your route, at least the traffic is one less thing to stress about. The Outsurance Pointsmen have been easing traffic congestion so we all get to where we need to be quickly and safely for the past 20 years. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
A major step in fighting HIV infections in South Africa. A new injectable drug called lenacapavir being officially launched. Let's understand more about this with Mia Milan, who's the editor-in-chief at Becky Cisa.
So what makes it revolutionary and the reason why scientists are so excited about it is because it only has to be taken once every 6 months. So we've had other medicine, a daily pill that you can take to prevent yourself from getting HIV, and people often forget to take it or it doesn't fit their lifestyles. So the reason they are so excited now is because they feel it is kind of medicine that's easy to adhere to because you only have to take it once every 6 months.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Doing your famous through meetings, in traffic, at the store. Don't let seasonal hay fever get in the way of a better you. Unite against allergies with Demazin once a day, providing 24-hour non-sedating relief from symptoms like a runny nose, sneezing, and itchy red eyes. Demazin gets it done. Speak to your pharmacist today about Demazin once a day.
The world's best male and female paddle players are coming to South Africa. The historic Premier Paddle Pretoria P1 will be at Sunbet Arena Times Square from 26 July to the 2nd of August. Expect world-class action, unbelievable energy, premium hospitality, and an atmosphere unlike anything South African sport has seen before. This is Africa's biggest paddle tournament ever, and tickets are selling fast. Don't miss your chance to witness the sport's biggest stars in South Africa. Get your tickets now at primemediaplus.com.
We could tell you we are the best bank in Africa, but if you're a CEO or CFO looking to grow, you're probably more interested in the numbers. Like the fact that our systems process $9 trillion every year. That's around 45 times the value of all intra-Africa trade. And that our custody network safeguards 17.7 trillion rand in assets. Those are big numbers. And a big reason to grow with us. Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. Let's focus then on spin-offs. Not spin-offs, consequences, I think, is the correct term from the areas that the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry has been digging into. Now, a significant number of people have found themselves in court. Some of the issues that they are being charged with have been very much canvassed by the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. In some cases, these are things that were first revealed and exposed by journalists. And then you cannot, of course, ignore the importance, the massive importance of last July when Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi held his press conference, and we all know what happened then and what happened afterwards. But I thought it was important to actually just look at what's actually going on. And the number of different police officers, there are a couple of people as well who found themselves in hot water who are not members of the South African Police Service, but most of them are. Let's bring in Andy Mashaile, security strategist, to shed some light on some of these questions. Mr. Mashaile, welcome, and thanks very much for giving us your time. I want to talk about police officers either getting dismissed or suspended. Does that have real consequence for them? Because some would say if something doesn't lead to a prosecution, then in the end, they can kind of walk away and say, well, it was fun while it lasted. Is suspension and dismissal something to be feared if you're a police officer walking a very fine line?
It is very inspiring, Brad John. Good afternoon to you and to the heavyweight team in the production room. It's a very, very critical step in that after the internal processes have rolled up and someone is out of the system, the next logical step will be criminal prosecution. And given the nature of the dismissals and the suspensions that are coming, they emanate from the shenanigans that were laid bare before the Madlanga Commission, and this therefore means a lot of dominoes are still going to fall, and a number of houses of cards are going to collapse, leading once again to what the country, what you and I as the ordinary South Africans have been saying with regards to what was divulged at the Madlanga Commission. People are looking for arrests, they're looking for prosecutions, they're looking for prosecutions and convictions.
Yeah, it's very important to take your point that, one thing can definitely lead to another. I think some people's concern might be, though, and let me make clear, I'm not referring to any of the individuals that I've mentioned before, but if we talk more broadly about government, if you are involved in crooked deals and you walk away with a large amount of money, if you get dismissed and you don't have to go to work anymore, you get suspended, some people would say, well, that's not a bad outcome. You get to keep your money and you've got more leisure time because you don't have to turn up at the office. How crucial is it, for example, that they then go after people's pensions and assets?
Brother John, imagine this scenario. You get dismissed as a result of the internal processes and the criminal prosecutions. Boom, the asset forfeiture unit rocks at your door,
Yes.
And you have to explain the root of the money, where the money comes from, obviously compared and contrasted to the findings of the lifestyle audit and high flyer programs. When that happens, it leaves you with one thing. It leaves you with no money in your bank for you to be able to sleep throughout your day. You have to go out like everyone else to eke out a living.
Yes.
And obviously, with a cloud hanging over your head, there are some serious challenges that are coming. But John, to sneak in a second, I am imagining if the victims of the crimes committed by these police officers form themselves into an association and they go on a civil claim to claim from these police officers who some of them are alleged to have sold dockets. Do you see some serious repercussions for those that are involved? Yes.
Yeah, it's a very interesting angle on it. And again, it picks up what you were saying earlier, Mr. Mashaile, about one thing leading to another. You talked about dominoes and houses of cards, and those images are very familiar with people. Do you think to some degree this is the strategy that's playing out? For example, if you look at Brigadier Mkwanazi from Julius Mkwanazi from the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department, he's been brought in on something, before the court, shall I say, on something that really didn't come up at the Madlanga Commission, and against the other things he was grilled about, relatively small crime in terms of the sentence he might get. But do you think the strategy is to start where you are able to start, pick the low-hanging fruit, and then see, for example, who's willing to become a state witness or begins to drop their defenses as the pressure increases?
John, as a strategist, I would throw a bone in the middle of nowhere to see if there are predators and the size of the predators that come out and the speed of the predators. So as soon as they come, I would be standing there with my pellet gun or my air gun or a sniper's gun to take them out one by one. This analogy means you look for something very, very small and you throw it into the arena of the Special Investigations Task Team. And the Special Investigations Task Team starts asking questions. And some of the witnesses that would be exposed to the SITT, they would then be able to tell you other things that you never knew of and that we're not investigating. And now what do you do in the police language? You now do linkages. How does this link to that? Who's involved? Who enabled it? Who benefited from it? And what are the opportunities for me from a prosecution point of view? And you follow the lead. You connect the dots backwards. Yes.
Thank you so much, Andy Mashaile, security strategist, striking, I think, a very positive note on the action taken by authorities in and around the issues that have come at the Madlanga Commission. Still to come on 702 Drive, a song, a book, and a dish. We're going to be in the company of singer, composer, so many other titles I could give him, but I'll start with those. Loyiso Bala joining me in the studio in about 10 or 12 minutes' time. It's 27 minutes past 5.
EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis, a very good afternoon to you. The end of a very interesting week. Your summary, please.
A great week for Mr. Price, John. Good afternoon. Yeah, I mean, the JSE All Share is ending the day down a full percent, 111,275 points, mainly because gold and platinum prices are lower today. Financials are up 0.41, industrials are down 0.78, resources down 4.35%, John. And yeah, gold prices are down 2.5%, platinum prices are down nearly 4%, and that's what's really depressed the index today. But Mr. Price up nearly 15%, up 14.67% on the day. Their headline earnings per share are up 8% to the year to the end of March. But the real story, I think, is that they seem to have taken market share from their competitors. So group retail sales for them were up 4.3%. Comparable store sales were only up 1.1%. Interesting comment as well in the commentary there. They say that while their big online sales were up quite significantly, they still think that most of their customers prefer in-store shopping hoping they'll keep investing there. A big day for Foschini as well. The Foschini Group's shares ending the day up nearly 4%. Their headline earnings per share were down 33.33% for the year to the end of March, but its second half was much weaker than its first. Its group online sales are up by nearly a third. Quite weak sentiment in the UK, weighing down on sales, and then obviously a bit of concern about the economy here too. Also in that sector, by the way, Pepcor up 3% on the day, and Truworths up 2.36. Canol Plus up nearly 6%. Strong day for the French. Valterra, Implat, Sibania, Northam, all of them down very strongly. I mean, Valterra down nearly 8.5%, and Harmony, Anglo Gold, DRD Gold all down by over 4%. That's because of much weaker gold prices as well. In the US, stronger than expected jobs numbers. Now, that would normally push a market up, but in this case, they're concerned that means quite hawkish interest rates. In other words, no interest rate cut. So the Dow Jones is down 0.33%. The Nasdaq is down 2%. The S&P 500 is down 1.08% at the moment. The gold price, $4,362.50. Platinum, $1,825.60. Brent crude, $93.65. The rand to the dollar, 16.47 to the euro, 19.01 to the British pound, 22.02. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Thanks very much, Stephen. Back with the money show in 30 minutes' time. It's 5:30 right now on 702 Drive. Storms in the Western Cape with fatal consequences, I believe, for some people. Let's hear from Mbali Dlamini with the latest news.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Well, at least 2 deaths have now been confirmed as a result of this week's storms in the Western Cape. Recovery teams have today been dispatched to Oudtshoorn, where they had reportedly been swept away while attempting to cross a river. This followed the recovery of another deceased who was swept away in the Klip River at the Vaboomskraal, while a woman who was with him was rescued. The Garden District Municipality's Gerard Otto has the details.
One was a 40-year-old male. We recovered that body early this morning after he tried to cross the river at Vaboomskraal, and then the second body this morning after the person tried to cross the water at the Oudtshoorn Mountain Resort area in Oudtshoorn.
A joint investigation by the Department of Home Affairs and the Road Traffic Management Corporation has revealed the extent of corruption that has allowed scores of foreign nationals to illegally purchase vehicles and obtain driver's licenses in South Africa. Over 1 million records dating back to the year 2000 were analysed to determine how many traffic register numbers were issued to foreign nationals with fraudulent documents and expired visas. The investigation has found that almost 90% of vehicles purchased or registered by foreign nationals cannot be matched to a valid immigration record at Home Affairs. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
All foreign nationals have to apply for a TRN to purchase, register or license a motor vehicle in South Africa. The Home Affairs Department noted a spike in vehicle registrations by foreign nationals between 2010 and 2023. Deputy Director General for Counter-Corruption, Constance Moetse, detailed the extent of the fraud before a joint meeting of Parliament's Home Affairs and Transport Committees today.
We have shown that, yes, there are syndicates working here. We have shown the officers that are prevalent in doing this. We exactly know the officials that are involved in this.
The majority of vehicles belonging to foreign nationals that have been registered with illegal documentation, including buses and heavy-duty trucks, belong to Zimbabweans. Ethiopian nationals are most implicated in obtaining vehicles, including buses and trucks, with unverified asylum seeker permits. The probe also revealed scores of vehicles registered as belonging to South Africans, when in fact their owners mostly originate from Nigeria, India, China and Somalia. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
And in Norway, Crown Princess Mette-Marit has officially been placed on a waiting list for a lung transplant. In 2018, the 52-year-old was diagnosed with a rare form of pulmonary fibrosis that causes breathing difficulties. Recently, her health has deteriorated, forcing her to scale back her official duties. The princess has recently appeared in public with a breathing tube connected to an oxygen device carried by a palace employee. The palace has now announced that while awaiting the operation, the Crown Princess will not be able to carry out her official duties. A fine Saturday in Gauteng tomorrow, lows of between 2 and 3 degrees and highs of between 15 and 18.
Four ways you can still expect about a 20-minute delay on Winnie Mandela Drive between the N1 and Uranium due to an earlier accident. Lone Hill also about a 30-minute delay. This is on Lone Hill Boulevard between Winnie Mandela Drive and Main Road. And in Roodepoort, traveling into Leratong, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic on Randfontein Road. This is approaching Adcock Road.
The top story in EWN, at least 2 deaths have now been confirmed as a direct result of this week's storms in the Western Cape.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
Children ask this question, trying to understand one's identity at a deeper level. What is the story?
It is the energy that the person who named that child gives to that name. For example, if a child is named by a mother would normally look in the journey that they've had the past 9 months. For example, I was born umuzo muhle kubese limhlophe usibinda sibuzwa uphokophela kwempunu ulukhozo oney'mpiko zabadala umnqobi wezimpi.
Muzi Zuma.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
Powerball Jackpot Friday is here this Friday. You have a chance to win a massive estimated 123 million rand total Powerball jackpot. That is 7 million for Powerball and a high of 116 million for Powerball Extra. That is life-changing money that could be yours instantly. Catch the live draw tonight at 9 p.m. You could become SA's next multi-millionaire. The National Lottery. More plays, more chances, more millions. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The National Lottery is officially operated by Sizwe Kaya.
Your office is more than just a place to work. It's a reflection of your success. At Desk and Chair, we help you elevate your workspace with locally manufactured desks and a wide range of chairs to suit your style and budget. Our expert consultants are with you every step of the way, from planning to delivery and assembly. Visit our showroom in Midrand or shop online at deskandchair.co.za. Desk and Chair. Think, feel, work better.
Joburg is more than just a city. It's an energy, a pulse, and a feeling connecting everybody. The heart of Mzansi.
It's Joburg.
In celebration of this, 702 has partnered with Jozi My Jozi, and we're calling on you to walk through the city center with us.
Walk the talk.
In the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk. Babise bonke. On Sunday, 26 July, we're going to the iconic Joburg CBD, the home of dream creators and operators, where we dominate and history make. So join us and be a part of something special.
I'm ready to rock this boat.
Because when Joburg walks together, extraordinary things happen. Enter now on primemediaplus.com and get ready for 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk this July, hosted by the city of Johannesburg. Walk with the people, for the people, for our Jozi. Babise bonke. Enter Walk the Talk now on primemediaplus.com.
EWN Sport.
Tola Kelly Mganga with the latest sport. Banyana. I've got a kind of busy program, eh?
Absolutely, John, and they'll return to action tomorrow morning when they take on Japan in the first of 2 international friendlies. Coach Desiree Ellis has discussed what the aims are for the team in that game as they start to build momentum for next month's WAFCON.
This is another opportunity for us to get our organization right, both defense and attack as well, to make sure, that we give a good account of ourselves. And as I said, as a part of a different type of game to what we're going to be used to at WAFCON, playing a lot of African teams that play similar, and we've played a lot them over the past 2 years. So playing Japan, a team that's going to challenge us, totally different, play similar to us with possession-based football.
The Arsenal trio of Declan Rice, Gabriel and David Raya have been nominated for the PFA Men's Player of the Year award alongside Manchester United's Bruno Fernandes and the City duo of Erling Haaland and Raya Cherki. Cherki has also been nominated for the Young Player of the Year alongside Nico Riley, Kobe Mainu, Elu Junior Krapo, Max Daalman and Riongu Moha. The winners of the award will be honoured on the 25th of August at the 53rd Annual PFA Awards ceremony in Manchester. Switching over to the United Rugby Championship, where Leo Cullen says Leinster are happy to have Jacques Nienaber and remain confident that he'll see out his contract with the franchise. The assurance comes after the former Springboks head coach delivered an explosive press conference on Monday where he claimed he didn't feel valued. And speaking ahead of tomorrow's semi-final against the Stormers, Cullen insisted Nienaber has his full support.
Jack is brilliant. I have to say I've really enjoyed working with Jack, and I think we have a great group of coaches here. I think we have a great group of staff as well. So there's so many great people in the buildings here, and I think Jack is brilliant, and we're very lucky to have him in terms of the experience that he has, top end of the game. Listen, it speaks for itself, isn't it? Like double World Cup winner, and listen, all the different things that I would research in terms of bringing Jack here in the first place. Brilliant person, brilliant individual to work with, and yes, no, that is very much the plan for sure.
At Roland Garros, Jakub Mensik fought back to win the third set 6-3 in his semi-final against Alexander Zverev, who had won the first two 7-5 and 6-2. In an update from the fourth, Zverev currently leads 5-3. After the showdown, Matteo Arnaldi and Flavio Cobolli will take to centre stage to face off for a place in the final. Cobolli has shared his thoughts on his attempt to reach his maiden Grand Slam final.
I just want to think about the next one. But I know that I'm close, only 2 matches, but it's a long way. I never put my pressure on myself. I like to live the moment like if I was a kid, just with a big passion and a big smile. So that's what I do also for the next one.
And Charles Leclerc led Lewis Hamilton to a Ferrari 1-2 in the first practice at the Monaco Grand Prix as Isaac Hadar crashed his Red Bull. At the same time, Formula One will race in Las Vegas until at least 2037. That's having extended its contract with the city by 10 years. Tola Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Okay, let's get you home as smoothly as we can. It's 20 to 6, and this EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. You could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Problems in quite a few places. Karabo Chali, starting in 4 ways.
Yeah, so if you're in 4 ways heading towards the Dainfern, Diepsloot area, you can expect about a 30-minute delay on Winnie Mandela Drive from the N1 to Uranium. This is due to an earlier accident. Lone Hill, also about a 20-minute delay on Lone Hill Boulevard between Winnie Mandela Drive and Main Road, while in Nooit Gesig, traveling into Soweto, there's slow-moving traffic on the N17 westbound from the N1 to the Soweto Highway. Roodepoort, also heading towards Leratong, there's traffic pressure on Randfontein Road approaching Adcock. Driving through Alexandra heading towards Germiston, expect about a 30-minute delay. N3 southbound from the Batoon Interchange to Van Buren. And finally in Doornpoort, Pretoria North, there's also about a 30-minute delay on the N4 westbound between Dr. Swanepoel and Bravery Road due to ongoing roadworks. To report any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Seeing the Outsurance pointsmen on your route is like the feeling you get when you walk into your very own surprise party. Just makes you feel good. The Outsurance pointsmen are traffic heroes, easing congestion and helping everyone to get where they need to be quickly and safely. They've been doing it for the past 20 years. Just another way you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, show them some love online using hashtag pointsmenlove. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
A song, a book, and a dish.
On 702.
Well, my guest today has made music, helped other people to make music. He's been involved in television production. He's played a role in radio. He's performed alongside Stevie Wonder. He's made music with Josh Groban, and we're delighted to welcome him to the 702 Drive studio. Loyiso Bala, welcome. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sean. An honor to be here, I must say.
I have to go to something that you shared with us, because what we do with the Songbook a Dish, we ask people for songbook, dish, suggestions. We get a little bit of the geography of the family. And when we asked you about your parents, you said, I know them as a couple that sang everywhere. So there's music in your home growing up. But tell me about mom and dad's singing. What did they sing, and were they good singers?
Yeah, so we come from a musical family. People will know my brothers, called the Bala brothers. My oldest brother is Zwai Bala, who started TKZ, which is, I think, to date, one of the biggest bands that's ever come out of South Africa. I've got a younger brother as well, Pelo. We came together as Bala brothers. Of course, we had our own successful careers separately, sort of like a solo artist. And so umama, I call them umama no tata, my mom and dad. When I was born, well, I've always known them to sing together. As a matter of fact, people know the Bala family as a singing family, and it didn't only just start with my mom and dad, but they also come from a lineage of singers. My grandfather was a composer. As a matter of fact, when I came to, from the Drakensberg Boys Choir, and I came to St. Stithians, I was actually surprised that actually most people don't sing, because I thought everybody could sing.
Right.
Just others could just sing better than others. So that's where that kind of really came from, yeah.
So your folk singing, very much church-based, or was there community stuff that they did? And presumably you're also talking about singing while the pots are boiling and singing while the house is being cleaned.
We sang, every opportunity was an opportunity to sing.
Yes.
For instance, if you look at, because we're from the Eastern Cape, so if you look at a lot of Xhosa songs, right, traditional songs, you get songs for everything. You get songs for drinking, you get songs for funerals, you get songs for parties, you get songs for working. Of course, not a Xhosa song, but take Shosholoza, for instance. So
Yes.
music is something that we just did in every single circumstance. I remember actually when my grandfather was a composer, because back in the days, they didn't have photostat machines or anything to sort of make copies. So he would write on these like A4 papers, and he would call us in to come and sing the music that he had written. So we would literally sight read.
Okay.
And then from there, he would then transcribe it onto these big brown pieces of paper. Later on, I learned that those brown pieces of paper were actually the pieces of papers that you use to cover your books.
Yes.
So you want to make sure that it all sounds right first. So from 3 years old, my grandfather would call us, Loiso, come, Zwai, call whatever, my uncles, and then we'd take a part, we'd sing it, and then it'd hear what it sounds like, and then it'd fix what needs to be fixed. So we always sang.
I'm sure if Samra got involved, you guys would at least need to get something for
I'm telling you.
all those contributions. Tell me this, Kariecha, people would know perhaps as from the earlier days of Uitenhage. What was life like growing up there? Town built around the motor industry.
Yeah.
How do you look back on those years?
And that's the thing, because everyone that I know from my family, and I mean the generation before us, everyone worked at Volkswagen.
Right.
It was the one big firm that was there. My dad worked there for a little while. His health deteriorated after that, not because of Volkswagen. It was obviously for just other reasons. But otherwise, growing up in the 80s, we grew right in the crux, I guess, of apartheid. People who know, for instance, the necklacing, which is the tie that goes around,
and the shootings at Langa.
It started, It actually started in Uitenhage. So we grew up around that time. That eventually we had to be moved to go and do some of our primary school before we moved to the Drakensberg Boys Choir in Port Elizabeth, because suddenly they were just closing schools all the time. My brother would tell you, Zwai, that they even closed schools down for 2 years at one point.
Yeah. Your dad struggling with health. Did life feel precarious for you as a young man? Obviously, if he was working as a motor industry worker, relatively well paid compared to some of the other jobs available in factories to black people at the time. But then, was that a significant setback for the family, or do you remember your family being resilient in spite of that?
It was, because my family, especially my brother and my sister, they speak about a time, when, and my mom would even speak about this as well, when my mom and dad were one of the most respected people in the community. They would walk down together. People would always come out and greet them and just celebrate who they were. They were known as this sort of power couple that used to sing, had beautiful children. But by the time that I was born in 1979, that's when the house started deteriorating. Because my father also, he was in HR. So he was known as umqashi, the person who give other people a job.
Yes,
you
yes.
know, back in the day. So when it started deteriorating, actually, by the time I was born, he was in hospital at that time. And he had obviously lost his job because of just being sick. And so my mom tells me the story but when he saw me, he said, I'm going to name this one because my grandmother named my brother.
Okay.
And he called me Loyiso, which means victory, because he felt that I would be the victory over his health. It never really sort of improved, my mom and dad then, just because of the troubles, they got divorced in 1985, so 5 years later, and 2 years later, my dad passed away.
Yeah,
so it was a hard time. It was a hard time indeed for the family.
So a lot of growing up early, but stepping away from music for a moment and locating you in Parkside Primary, and we'll talk Drakensberg Boys Choir in a moment. What else did you enjoy about school? I mean, was music always front and center, or were you the kid who liked sport and other things?
For me, music was always the natural thing. I loved school, by itself, I guess, because I could do it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, music was just always the thing. Growing up, so if you'd watch Sarafina, you'd see them standing in those lines, right?
Yes.
At assembly, and they'll always sing a song. That's not foreign to us. But of course, they'll always say Loyiso Hlabela, which means Loyiso start the song.
Yes.
So we're always known as the ones, the ones who sing. Back in the days, it was something that was really celebrated, especially because music was never sort of seen as a career. To us, it was actually seen as a sport, because you didn't need to have the money to buy, for instance, like cricket. Like a bat is not cheap. So it's not something that like a township kid could buy at the time. So music was our sport of the time. Many competitions happening around. There were choirs all over the place, and so that's how we played, through singing.
I'm gonna forget the songbook and dish if I'm not careful, because I'm so caught up with the story. But let's talk food. So your dish choice: bride lamb chops. This is cruel, Loyiso, because I'm a few hours from dinner, but I'll read it out. Bride lamb chops, pap, chakalaka, spicy tomato and onion relish, beetroot on the side. But before we talk about your selection, though, meal times at home, obviously you've described a period of life as a kid that was quite choppy, but was it important to your mom and your dad that you should all gather for meals and be together at that particular time of day?
Absolutely. I think more so probably for the bigger family, because we also grew up, at my grandfather's and my grandmother's house. Meal times were always huge. I mean, I can actually even smell the food. I can see my grandfather taking out the Worcestershire sauce. Did I say it right? Worcestershire sauce.
The first time was better than the second. Yeah.
Oh, was it? Okay. So rather, let me just leave it there. And it was, and that's why, food obviously goes with music. And even today, even with my team at work, I always say, guys, if the guy's upset, just get them food. Because once people eat, then suddenly everything, the emotions just kind of subside a little bit. So I love food, even still today. And the reason, obviously, there you've got meat. That's maybe because it's an Eastern Cape thing. When there's no meat on the dish, we're like, what are we eating here? It's like a starter,
Yes.
And like I always say, that if there's no beetroot, guys, that's not a celebration. If there's a celebration of some sort, or there's an event of some sort, there has to be beetroot. So that's why I guess I chose that as my favorite dish.
Drakensberg Boys Choir, you following Zwei to the choir, if I'm correct.
Yes.
So obviously he paved the way, and through his experience, you realize, wow, I can go to a school where singing is the thing. Obviously, there's academics and all the other core curricula of school life. But was it what you expected? Did it give you what you hoped for?
Absolutely. My life is built on the Drakensberg Boys Choir, because music doesn't only just teach you about music, but it teaches you about life. It teaches you patience, teaches you discipline, it teaches you teamwork. And so many more other things. That's why I encourage that parents teach or at least take their child to a singing lesson, to a
Yes.
piano lesson, a guitar lesson, not because they want them to be rock stars, but there are fundamental skills that you learn from there that are going to set you up for life. I believe that the reason that I've been so successful in just like the workplace, because I'm there as well, is because of the skills that I've learned in music. And so when people were like, even when I was studying, they're like, why are you doing so well? I'm like, well, that's because I'm using the same side of the brain.
Yes,
That left side of the brain, that is what's going to carry you throughout. So I'm so grateful, for what the Drakensberg meant to me and for what it's done and for what it continues, to do even for other boys. And if anybody wants to go there, I'll be like, listen, man, take that step. So culture and sport are one of the most fundamental things that I want to encourage parents, to make sure that their children do.
I was struck while you were talking by something that I think you were almost implying that when you spoke about teamwork, that I would think when you're part of a choir, some days you're the soloist and some days you're not. It's not always, you're not always going to shine, but you're always part of something that is shining as a collective. And when you related that to the workplace, is that one of the things you learned? That because you've stood in the spotlight and the light has been squarely on you, Loyiso, but that doesn't sum up your work life or your life,
no,
does
it doesn't. I think the 80-20 rule applies here as well.
Yeah.
And especially because my choir master, Bunny Ashley Botha, always used to say, the best chorister, now for those of you who don't know, a chorister is a choir member,
Yes.
is not the one who sings the best, but it's the one who listens the best.
Uh-huh.
And I found that, even at work, the best guys are those who listen better, not necessarily those who work better. It's the 80-20 rule, 80% of the time, if you listen, for 80% of the time, the work that you then, your output in the 20% is going to be absolutely brilliant. I think Einstein said something, close to that as well.
Yes.
And also it's about blending. I believe that the magic of music is when we make music together. It's not about someone being at the forefront. We put you at the forefront because maybe, for instance, in football, the person who's going to score is going to be the guy in the front line.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you may find that the man of the match may be the guy at the back who didn't score anything.
It's no good scoring one if the other team scores three.
So that's what it is. You need to just find your place within the team and then just do the best that you absolutely can. And not everybody's made to be in the front line, no.
And not there all the time. Your book choice, Winnie Mandela Life, published 2003.
Yeah.
Anne-Marie Dupré-Besdrop,
Yeah.
who wrote the book. Tell us why you picked that out. Was it the subject matter? Was it the way the book was written?
So I think the one person that we never got to learn about growing up was Umama Winnie Mandela. You always knew about her. She was obviously a struggle icon. She was the wife to the iconic Nelson Mandela that you obviously never saw. And so many stories started coming out. The story about Stompy, and we were still very young. And I think for me as well, sort of growing up in a predominantly sort of white environment at schools, there were also, certain things that I was hearing from that side, you know what I mean? That weren't necessarily that savory about Winnie Mandela, but I knew that she was a hero. I knew that she was an icon. And so this came at a time when I started reading a lot of maybe biographies, a lot of stories about people. I think I remember around this time as well, I picked up a book called I Write What I Like, by Steve Biko.
Yeah.
There was also Losing My Virginity. I know that's like Richard Branson, but it was sort of like that time of just discovering who these people actually were. And Winnie Mandela's story really, really sort of struck me. And this book was so balanced, man, because the thing is, it goes back and it starts back to where, to where she's from, to even like her ancestors, who they were. And I really got to learn, the balance, her having to balance who she was. And I mean, I was still inspired after that, even with all the controversies.
Yeah. Let's talk music. You've made an interesting choice. If I'd had to pick out of thousands of songs, I'm not sure I would have picked Chicago 1982. But wonderful musicians, wonderful voices. The song's called Hard to Say I'm Sorry. You picked it. Tell
Hard
us why.
to say, oh man, that song. Fun enough, actually, the first time I heard the song was from a remix, and the remix was done by a group called As Yet.
Okay.
This was in the 90s. Now, I was born, obviously, I'll say in the 80s because I was born in 79. But when I heard that song, so now obviously I was getting to, like my eyes were beginning to open to the girls,
Yes.
and I was starting to get all these feelings. But when I heard that song and just all the melodies, I mean, I got drawn into it, and so obviously I went to look for the original.
Yeah.
Which was by Chicago. One of my favorite musicians of all time, David Foster, obviously was a part of Chicago on the keys. And for me, it's just a classic that I believe that even if you played it now, it would still my 8-year-old and my 13-year-old will still fall in love with it just the way that it is.
Well, we are going to play it now. We're going to enjoy it too. Hard to Say I'm Sorry, Chicago is the song choice of my guest, Loyiso Bala. Loyiso, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the music. Thank you for sharing with us this song. Let's enjoy it.
Couldn't stand to be kept away just for the day from your body. Wouldn't wanna be swept away, far away from the one that I love. Oh, now it's hard for me to say I'm sorry. I just want you to know. Hold me now. I really want to tell you I'm sorry.
Wonderful sounds of Chicago. The song, Hard to Say I'm Sorry. I'm sorry we've come to the end of the show, but we have 702 Drive this week, produced by Jonathan Fairburn and the rest of the team, Karabo Malapile and Keta Zwane. I'm John Perlman. Have a wonderful weekend. Good night.
You're just a part of me I can't let go. After all that we've been through, I will make it up to you.
And now, The Money Show.
With Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
And DSTV channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by Absa Business Banking, featuring the Agri Trends 2026 Autumn Edition. In agriculture, smart moves need smart insights. We get it. Good evening. On your Money Show tonight, the people behind the major reforms in government promise to keep going and to take on local government. Operation Vulindlela boss Rudy Dix is on your radio tonight. The latest in the big debate around Edexis and its weight loss drugs, the Pharmaceutical Task Group enters the fray. And we find out what is the genius behind the look and the feel of Cape Town's marine fine dining restaurant, Amura. All of that to come, but first, the very latest Eyewitness News.
Good evening, I'm Mikey Malapo. We begin with the latest from the Western Cape, where at least 2 deaths have now been confirmed as a direct result of this week's storms in the Western Cape. Recovery teams have today been dispatched to Oudtshoorn, where a person had reportedly been swept away while attempting to cross a river. This followed the recovery of another deceased who was swept away. Being dispatched to Oudtshoorn, where a person had reportedly been swept away while attempting to cross a river. This followed the recovery of another deceased who was swept away in the Klip River at Vaboomskraal, while a woman who was with him was rescued. The Garden Roots District Municipality's Gerard Otto has the details.
One was a 40-year-old male. We recovered that body early this morning after he tried to cross the river at Vaboomskraal, and then